Hello and welcome back to Serie, a Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake
and Matt.
You know what time it is!
I can't tell you guys enough how much you've been my internal monologue when thinking about football for the last year.
Yes, amazing! We get to record while drinking some wine. Jake and I will have a very special soft spot for Saturday.
We love him.
We love him. Stop zooming in on Allegri's face, bro. You're gonna make
How
me
are you
break.
exposing me?
Because you're gonna make me break, man. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 151 and we're your hosts Matt
and Jake,
here to give you guys a full rundown of Matchday 13 in Serie A.
Yes, the goals this week weren't crazy, brother. It was difficult to pick a goal of the week because none of them were stood out as spectacular.
It was difficult, but last week was difficult for very different reasons.
Yeah, because they were all amazing.
They were all bangers. Any of those goals would have been our goal of the week. This week. We've ended up going for who, bro? Dorgu, right?
Because it capped a beautiful team move, inspired by Gallo, of course, who transitioned beautifully from defense to attack. But that was the only moment where we saw GIampaolo ball take place in that game. Was a very scrappy affair, but that goal was absolutely beautiful.
No, it was a great counter-attack.
Yeah.
That's what it was, right? A 1-2 with Gallo down the wing, long ball to the far post, and a good finish on the half volley on his weaker foot, Dorgu.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, one day he's playing left back, the other day right back, and then right wing. Super versatile, and he continues to be the star of Lecce this season, so he deserves it. The prestigious Serie A Spotlight Goal of the Week award.
Well done, Dorgu.
My favourite goal personally, and you know this, was Cagliari's against Atalanta for Parma. Because you don't charge through the middle of Atalanta's defence like that.
Isaacian.
Past Isaacian and cunt it past past Carnesecchi in the way that he did. Of course, there was Adli with a long-range strike, kind of went through the goalkeeper, Audero, unfortunately.
And Pellegrini had a lovely goal as well on the turn and shoot. But again, the goalkeeper was a little bit suspect over there. Apologies. Zaccagni's goal was very nice as well, with a lovely, well-placed curler into the bottom corner. I didn't expect him to shoot. They had numerical advantage. I thought they'd play it. But when you've got a shot like that, you're totally excused. Apologies for my voice this week, guys. I am unwell. I've got the flu. So Matthew's currently risking his health by being sat next to me.
It's currently, if you guys aren't from Malta, it's currently the time where it really starts to fucking get cold. And it's the humidity that gets you.
It is.
And everyone gets sick right about this time. I'm feeling this side of my throat is
the side that's facing me.
The side that's facing Jake is starting to double inside. And as you guys can also see in other news, we've got the lipstick. We've got the lipstick streak on our faces, in solidarity with the Serie A movement. Stop hitting women, you fucking bastards. So we're here doing that. Did you hear that journalist? I don't know his name. I'm really not well versed with Serie A journalists of the sort.
So it was Fabrizio Corona who
he's notorious.
Who dropped the story.
I know that much.
He's notorious. He's the one who dropped the betting scandal news involving Fagioli and Tonali and made it seem way worse than it really was. Like they were actually match fixing when in reality they placed bets that didn't really affect the outcome of the game in reality. But just yellow cards.
He's
here and
great
there,
at marketing. He's a fantastic marketer.
Thanks to Alan, by the way, on the group chat for really breaking down this news. But it was leaked the day before Milan's game, or on the day of Milan's game.
I think
some
day.
journalist affiliated with Milan said basically that an Inter player or a Milan player, there was video evidence of them assaulting a woman.
Outside of a club, I believe.
Or in a private area of a club, I believe.
And went incredibly in detail of landed one strike, which makes it seem obviously legitimate.
But we haven't heard anything since. Hopefully it's not true. Hopefully it's just sensationalism. But we'll have to wait and see if it comes out.
I don't think it's fair to say who it's rumored to be, right?
No, I mean, people are just pointing their fingers at the people who look the meanest or who have had allegations similar in the past or kind of
Or maybe their brother.
Or their brother.
So there are allegations.
Or maybe
right now.
racist allegations, maybe, things like that.
I mean, if it's true, then get the fuck out of Serie A and hopefully out of football. But we'll wait and see.
You can join Marseille if it's true.
Fantastic. Some European updates for you guys. We did have some lovely European action this week, still ongoing naturally. Yesterday there was Bratislava 2, Milan 3. It seemed like every forward pass Bratislava gave, they were clean through on goal. Up against Mike Mannion. It was fucking crazy.
And Pavlovic with those recovery tackles sliding.
Respect, he got one off the line. Great goal by Rafa Leao. Tammy Abraham on the score sheet. Milan did.
Well, a lovely bit of play, Tammy Abraham.
Yeah, oh man, letting the ball run through his legs with that Fofana pass. Fofana's pass
got Milan into a lot of trouble. It was the reason they scored, and it was the reason they were 1-on-1 early on as well when Pavlovic
he lands some through balls and then. It's like to get a pass like that, he has to give away 3.
But the problem is when you play with such a high line,
and you can't do shit,
bro.
You can't take risks.
I think that. To a certain degree, Milan didn't really respect their opponent. You can't 100%. Go into a Champions League game like that away from one, play a high line like that, man. At least Milan got away with it.
The thing is, a high line, sure. But where the centre backs? It's not like they played with a high line and like whatever. But where in the fuck were they?
Yeah.
For I don't know if it was for a goal or for a near goal. See, Reinders is the only one tracking back. There's absolutely no one. There's no Pavlovic, there's no Tomori.
That was on their goal. The counter-attack from the corner.
Great win for Inter, beating Leipzig. 1-0. Leipzig are a club that caused people a lot of trouble. Of course, we saw what they did against Juventus. We saw that they are one of the few teams that beat Leverkusen this season. Young Boys 1, Atalanta 6. The CDK show. Over here, he was absolutely phenomenal. I believe you have a statistic for us.
Yes, that he's the only player apart from Messi and Haaland to get 5 goal contributions in a single Champions League match.
But Maldini was sacked for bringing him in. What a shit decision.
You heard it here first, guys. CDK fucked Young Boys.
God. There's Villa Juve tonight, which promises to be quite a good game, of course. Juve decimated with Vlahovic.
You know how many outfield players they have in total to choose from Juventus for this game?
Like 17, no?
14. 17 in total with the keepers.
Madonna.
14 outfield players to choose from. It's an absolute crisis for them.
Yeah. Bologna Lille, of course, taking place tonight as well. There's Lazio Ludogorets, and then in Europa League, of course, Lazio Ludogorets is Europa League. There's Spurs Roma as well. That promises to be quite good. And Fiorentina Paphos in the Conference League. Do you have an update regarding our fantasy league, bro?
Yes, I do. And Joey D changed his name.
Really trying to...
we can get in a lot of trouble for this. But before I say the name, I'm going to point out Como's centre-back Eduardo Goldaniga. Yes, plays for Como, 25 games for them. We've known him for a long time in the league. Played for Sassuolo, Cagliari, Genoa, Frosinone, Pisa, Palermo, etc.
I'm going to repeat that. His name's Goldaniga.
Yes, it is. Joey D's Goldanigas in Paris have gone first with 1,020 points in our fantasy league. Orange Crush. Pieter is in second place with 991 points. Peter, do you hate Peter, Matt?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Like you're oblivious.
No, I hate whoever's first in fantasy. I
personally need Pieter to overtake Joey D, so we cannot say that name again on here.
Come on, Pieter. Come on,
Loco for the Choco in third place.
Yeah, Loco for the Choco in third place.
Because last episode, by the way, you said you dislike Juve fans who are over 40 for some reason. Pieter is a patron, over 40. Juve fan.
Let me go back on that and say the Maltese ones. No, I mean, come on, bro. You know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Aren't local people who are over 40 and Juve fans in Malta, don't they have a massive ego when they speak about your team? It's like they're speaking down to you. And it's just this cocky, arrogant persona. Those are the over 40 local Juve fans that I know, at least.
I've had encounters with similar people.
There you go.
Yes. Shall we move on to this week in Serie?
Yes, please.
Yes, so this week in Serie A, we have Roma's new psychologist left the club after 20 days over there. It's very telling of the situation there. Our patron Lena pointed out that Fonseca looks like Jennifer Coolidge and we can't unsee it. For those of you who don't know who Jennifer Coolidge is, she's the woman from White Lotus.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what else she was in, but she's hilarious.
Don't put me on the spot.
Yeah, she's all over Netflix nowadays. Google her, you'll see if she's got some similarities with Fonseca when it comes to. I'm not sure if it's maybe surgeries, but or looks in general.
I think they both did similar treatments to their faces.
Speaking of Fonseca, that was a really cool jacket.
It was a sick jacket. I can't wait to buy it for €989.
It's very expensive and totally unattainable. I looked at the Off-White merch, bro, €2,000 for a jacket.
Yes, bro, yes.
In what world? Yes. Not exactly Serie A, but former Serie A and Empoli goalkeeper Vicario played with a broken ankle for an hour in Tottenham's 4-0 victory over Man City.
At what stage did he break his fucking ankle, man?
An hour before full time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and he kept playing and he would give goal kicks, hoofing the ball up, feeling him limping a bit after, but the adrenaline.
Fabregas had scored a penalty with a broken ankle in the Champions League once.
I remember that. Speaking of Man City, while we're on the topic, did you see Pep Guardiola in his interview?
Quite worrying, man.
Very worrying.
Like I saw it and I'm like I hope he speaks to someone about this. It screams an inner child that was shamed for gathering losses in life and just self-torments. I don't like to see that at all.
No.
Really, like troubling almost.
And especially when you can tell how high he sets the standards for himself because he's so decorated as a manager. He has nothing left to prove, man. His tenure at City has been incredible. One of the best coaching performances we've seen with a club over the long run. To lose 5 games in a row and then you react like that, it just goes to show how important winning is to this guy. And he clawed, his head was full of scratches, his nose was bleeding, and then he told the interviewer, I like to hurt myself or something, but apparently he just said it in jest, right? To try to get the interviewer off his shoulder.
It is chilling though, man.
It's very disturbing.
And I hope the atmosphere in the City locker room isn't as maybe dark and I don't know, scary.
No. Eventually we'll get a documentary or some news eventually. Mancini admitted that leaving the Italian national team was a mistake. Maybe it was a mistake for him, but I don't think it was a mistake for us or for the Italian national team.
I agree. He ran his course.
He was sticking to his Euro players, the Euro winners, instead of actually improving the squad. Yeah. So yes, looks like the grass isn't always greener in the Arabian front. Yeah. It was like, it's true that the money over here is nice, but it's not as much as they reported. Like, Mancini, we're sure it's a lot. It doesn't matter if it's as much as was reported, yes. Carlos Augusto got a hair transplant and he looks like a new man.
Yes, congrats. No hate here. Looks good, great. Bro. Looks good. I'd recommend a bit of a taper or something because at the moment the styles. But no, they were telling me off on the group chat saying it's a gentleman's cut.
Yeah, it's a timeless cut, bro.
Timeless cut. It's a Playmobil cut. It's a toothbrush cut.
But he has to go for the Matt Fenech or the Gigot of Lazio.
The Gigol. Yes.
And the last thing is the Serie D side Piacenza went through 3 coach signings, 3 coach changes in a single day.
Madonna.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the hell happened, but that happened. You can read into it, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And that is my This Week in Serie A.
Fantastic. If you guys are new here, don't forget to give us a follow on our socials on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. Do subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us and rate us 5 stars wherever you get your podcasts. Please, that would be excellent. And of course, a massive shout out to the lovely 40 people that actually help us keep this podcast afloat with their investments and obviously their daily banter on the greatest group chat in Serie A history. Our patrons are Tyson, Tony, Tim, Luca, Tanino, Batman, Choco Loco, Steve, Stefan, Sluge McNoodle, Greta, Sean, Sal, Robert Blair, Pieter, Nicholas Granda, Mike Tonna, Michele, Michael Lockhart, Mattia, Matteo, Mattias, Mintov, Grima, Kyle, Kurt, Keanu, Joey D, Ed, Dikwan, David Vavra, David Mastrobattista, CJ, Lena, Campbell, Nicholas Bosco, Anthony Lokash, Andy, Andrew Batman, Alan, Robert Fleming, Pablo, and welcome to the family, Bernardo. We love you very much. Thank you, and we can't wait to ride out this journey with you guys all by our side. The rundown and the order in which we're going to be covering games today, we'll start things off with probably the most boring game of this week, and one that probably on paper offered us the most excitement. Milan 0, Juve 0, an absolute snooze fest between two very cautious teams.
You know, it's bad when Fonseca comes out after the game. You're like, what's he possibly going to say to mask the fact that this was the most boring game of football you've ever seen? He came out and he's like, I apologize to the fans, that was bloody boring. You know, Fonseca actually said that in the interview after
you
the
don't
match.
blame Juve, of course, for the approach that they took, because they're decimated. They didn't even have a striker that they could field. They ended up playing McKennie in a false 9, I believe.
It was Coop Miners as the highest player.
Okay.
Yeah.
Milan offered little, and I feel like the changes came late as well, and it just ended up being a really, really boring affair. Napoli 1, Roma 0. This was Ranieri's debut for Roma. Roma did well for the most part, where they stayed within touching distance of the game, but it was Lukaku scoring against his former side to give Napoli, the current league leaders, the 1-0 victory. Verona 0, Inter 5. Joaquin Correa is back. Grabbed like a goal and 2 assists.
Out of nowhere.
Out of fucking nowhere, and he was spectacular in this game, to be fair. Good rotation over here by Inzaghi, something that we haven't seen in previous years, of course. And an excellent win for Inter, winning 5-0. Verona's defense is atrocious. Parma 1, Atalanta 3. That is Atalanta's 7th victory in a row now. Again, good rotation that we're seeing over there by Gasperini. What a partnership they have up front between Lukman and Retegui. What great wing play they have. Every single goal came from the wings. Great stuff by Bellanova, great stuff by Ruggeri, great stuff by Quadrado. Just amazing all around by Atalanta once again. There's Lazio 3, Bologna 0. It was thrown away quite early by Bologna, and actually took Lazio a while to get the opener after Pobega got a bizarre second yellow when he was pressing super high up the pitch. The foul that he made was in the opposition team's box.
Yeah.
So that's great grinta, dog, but maybe chill out. There's no need to slide into Guendouzi like that.
Too much to prove.
Yeah, absolutely. Como 0, Fiorentina 2. Also Fiorentina's 7th victory of the season. Como in the relegation zone now in 19th place. Things are starting to look worrying for Como. Genoa 2, Cagliari 2. This was, of course, Patrick Vieira's second game in charge for Genoa. It was his debut, right? Yeah. Patrick Vieira's debut. We did see Cagliari take the lead, however Genoa and then managed a 2-1, only for Cagliari to get a second penalty and equalise there at 2-2. Can't help but think perhaps they would have done a better job with Gilardino, but of course you need these little setbacks if you have a bigger vision, and the Patrick Vieira is going to be all that for them. And of course it's not going to be an instant impact.
Yeah.
Torino 1, Monza 1. Oh, look, 2 teams that literally never win. That's like their 4th game in a row or 5th game in a row that they didn't win. And this game had literal draw written all over it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see more urgency from both teams. They were both coming off 3 losses each. And it's like they were both scared of losing. You both need a win. Let's think positive here. You both need a win. Go out there and try fucking get that. But I really didn't see that from either team. Empoli 1, Udinese 1. Clear penalty, by the way, for Udinese.
Luca, handball.
There you go.
Yeah, they were screaming and going mental. It was so clear, but VAR didn't even intervene. Weird one.
Another Pellegrini goal for Empoli.
His third goal in a row.
His 3rd goal in a row.
Yeah,
like
in 3 separate games. And they're all very similar goals. Out of the box, turn, shoot. You know,
I hope this isn't another disappointing loan spell for Colombo, bro. But that's what it seems.
But, you know, he does a lot of good work. Granted, the numbers aren't crazy high, but he does some good work up front.
When a player joins a team out on loan from Milan, you'd hope he gets consistent playing time. But I remember he was struggling for game time because of Cisse at Lecce. Yeah. Now he's going to struggle for game time as well because of Pellegrini, another a Milan reject, essentially.
Especially now they're playing together because Esposito's been injured. But now we'll see. You know, because Esposito probably walks into the team.
It'll be Esposito Pellegrini. I can put money on it.
Yeah.
It's really disappointing that they start with 2 up top and Colombo can't even make his way in over there. But we'll see what happens. Venezia 0, Lecce 1. GIampaolo on his debut getting the victory. Although Venezia had the lion's share of possession, they played a controlling game of football. But can I just say, Falcone, mamma fucking mia. What a goalkeeper. The amount of saves he pulled off and brilliant saves that he pulled off was ridiculous. But brother, you can start things off if you'd like with Milan-Juve.
Of course. So coming into this game, as well as after leaving this game, Juve had a 6-point lead in the standings over Milan. So I think Motta coming into this game, judging with all the injuries that his team is facing and taking everything into consideration, I think he prioritized over winning.
Perhaps.
That was the priority.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, Fonseca seemed to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Let's get straight into the lineups. We had Maignan in goal for Milan with Emerson Royal, Gabbia, Thiaw and Theo Hernandez at the back in a 4-3-3. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Fofana and Reinders playing in midfield with Musa on the right, Leao on the left and Morata up front. We'll get into our thoughts on this lineup very soon. For Juve, it was a little bit weird. It was projected as a 4-2-2-2, but it wasn't really the case when watching the game. It seemed to me more like a 4-2-3-1 formation, with Di Gregorio on goal, Cambiaso, Gatti, Kalulu and Savona at the back, a double pivot of Thuram and Locatelli, with Yildiz on the left, Conceição on the right, McKennie as the trequartista and Coop Miners as the most advanced forward in that position, who apparently is said to have played with a fever, and that's why his performance was so bad, and he won. I think only 1 duel out of
he was
7.
Poor.
He was really poor. His worst game, I think, since joining Juve. So notice the absence of Pulisic in this lineup. Apparently he picked up a knock coming into this one. So Fonseca's idea was to do something similar to what was done against Real Madrid, playing Musa on the wing. The difference, however, this time was that Pulisic, of course, was available against Real Madrid. So he offered much more in the offensive department. Juve allowed Milan more time on the ball than Madrid did. So Musa found himself in many positions where he had to take the man on, and that's not his strong suit, and he failed to do so quite a few times. I think that right side with Emerson Royal, Loftus-Cheek and Musa lacked a lot going forward, and that is what hindered, I think, Milan in the entire game.
Even when Chukwueze came on, he offered nothing.
When Chukwueze came on, he had a terrible cameo.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
He had Calabria running, attacking the space between the
He's doing a really good job of the ball,
and the centre back, every time calling for it, and Chukwueze fails to give it to him. I think starting Ruben Loftus-Cheek, this game was overkill. Milan needed a victory. Why not deploy Musa as a central midfielder? I think he's better. And then put Chukwueze or Rockefeller on the wing. I think that was the way to go from the start, to be honest with you. You know, Chukwueze, granted, he didn't have a good 10 minutes when he came on, but he came on with 10 minutes to go and a lot of pressure to actually make something happen. So he started from the beginning of the game. Maybe he'll have settled into it a bit better. But this defensive stance from the get-go, I think, for Milan was a little bit too respectful of the opponent, especially when you need a victory more than your opponent does, simply to get closer to the top, because right now Milan are quite cut off from the rest, you know, and there are so many teams above them.
I find that this was a complicated game for Milan because Juve were, of course, cautious, and when Milan play opposition that respect their opponents, they tend to struggle. The classic low block from back in the day under Pioli's day. This was a bit different, however. Motta, the one thing that he excels at, well, one of the many things that he excels at as a manager, is keeping the ship steady while attacking. So there are rare occasions, barring, for example, the Inter game, where you're going to catch Juve on the break and they're going to be fucking wide open. They're going to have their legs wide open. It's incredibly rare. And in the cases where Milan can't counter-attack, that is where they struggle. Why did Milan perform so great against Real Madrid? Because they played a counter-attacking game of football. Why are they so good against Inter? Because they played a counter-attacking football. When Milan are against tougher opponents, they tend to play to their strengths more. Because Milan are a vicious team when it comes to pace and when it comes to width. And they have technically able players in the middle of the pitch that could really bring that all together and transition quickly to get the ball out to the wings and to make that run in late into the box. But in situations like this, when you're facing such a pragmatic side, Milan really, really struggle due to a serious lack of creativity. And when you have a striker like Morata, who has no clear strengths when it comes to being a striker, being a man that attacks the area, not incredible in the air, not a great long-range shooter, just no significant qualities that makes him a lethal striker, what are you going to rely on?
This was a game, you're absolutely right, bro, that lacked strikers. Yeah. And it was clear, you know? And quite often, possession was shifted from team to team because of wayward passes, and it was just literally... The first half was a bit more entertaining because it was an interesting midfield battle. But then in the second half, Juve surrendered the ball to Milan, it felt like. And Milan just couldn't do anything. As you're saying, Morata would drop deep to help in the midfield. You know, okay, he's a leader, whatever, he drops deep. But then you have no one. Leao wasn't attacking the channels, you know, making forward runs. Musa as well. Musa was staying wide. You know, I thought Reinders didn't have his best game at all. Fofana tried, but it was just very, very disappointing, man.
Yeah.
And very boring. No ideas. No reference points in the box to actually aim at for any teams. It was just... I think the closest anyone ever got to scoring was that moment when Cambiaso was played through intelligently by McKennie, and Chow slid in the way and deflected the ball completely. I think other than that, bro, he did really well. Other than that, nothing.
There was a chance, I think, for Theo in the 95th minute.
Milan's first shot on target in the 95th minute. Can you imagine that? A game you need to win. Man of the match was Thuram. And I agree.
100%,
he plays really well.
100%.
He really runs through those channels and carries the ball well.
He dominated the midfield. He outplayed every single midfielder. The midfield battle was Juve's.
And for me as a Milan fan, it was extremely painful to see Kalulu playing so well. And then Emerson Royal playing so clumsily for Milan this game. Even when he does something good, it's followed by a mistake. It's crazy. It's almost like he's cursed, man. Like, he'll win he'll intercept the ball with a header, but then turn around, not like lose it to an opponent, foul him, and give away a free kick. That's what happened with Yildiz, for example.
This is the thing with Emerson Royal. He doesn't have the basics down, but he always tries to show off in some way or another. Why is he trying to pull off a back heel? Why is he trying to we've seen him try fucking shoulder the ball to someone instead of taking it down on his chest? Why is he trying the first time pass? Nail down the basics, man. He never is in full control of the ball when he has the ball. He's so erratic. He's so crazy. Like, what are you ever gonna do when you have the ball?
His body language is shocking.
It's terrifying.
His composure is really weird.
It's terrifying.
He's a bit too far from the ball, and then he like takes these little steps to get close to it. He's slouched over. Like
at this point, I know on our Milan group chat, like everyone's saying, "Oh, but he's still better than Calabria."
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Bro.
I don't think so.
I really don't think so. And I was going to say
he's more athletic than Calabria, and maybe that's what the coach wants.
Yay, because of the high line. It's good, it's true. You saw Calabria trying to run back against Parma. It's like when you try dine and dash at a restaurant and the restaurant manager
and
comes running out after you. Or you're running and you're full. It's true. That's better. I like it more. And another thing, you mentioned a good point. Why didn't Musa play in the midfield rather than out wide? That's not even the issue. I want Musa to play in the middle, to play instead of Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Because do they not see what we see? Do they not see what we see?
Ruben.
Do they not see that he doesn't fit? He is good. He doesn't fit. He doesn't
do anything.
No.
Loftus-Cheek. And if you look at the statistics in the first half, because I watched the game, and I thought to myself, has Loftus-Cheek done anything? He seems to be watching the game be played around him. His statistics were like 12 touches in the first half. No, don't quote me. It's what I remember. 8 out of 8 passes completed. 1 out of 1 duels won. Like everything worked. Like you know, he did everything he had to do perfectly in theory, statistically. But watching the game, he doesn't contribute anything to the team. He doesn't contribute defensively, he doesn't contribute offensively, and he was utilized much better by Pioli, I thought.
Yeah, 100%.
And it was weird because he was playing as a trequartista under Pioli, where we also said he doesn't fit.
But the system, because it was more wing-oriented rather than so fucking condensed in the middle under Fonseca, at least allowed the early ball to Leao to break down through the wing, and it was Loftus-Cheek's late run into the box that was getting him a lot of success, and everyone was like, but the numbers. Numbers are gone now. How's he performing?
Yeah.
Not great. You see what Fofana's capable of doing. Sure, he makes his mistakes, and we've addressed that, but you see what the output he has. You see Baby Ranieri, every time he gets the ball, it's like, whoa, what's this guy? He's like, his legs
exciting.
are like an elastic band, man. His vision is exceptional, his close ball control is mental, he can keep it in tight spaces, he's versatile, he comes back to defend. Fofana is a bit more of an anchor in the middle. And then there's Loftus-Cheek, who's like, is he even taking on the role of a mezzala? I don't get what he's doing there. It's blank. It's almost like you have an average Joe in that position. But I feel like Musa's better as a mezzala, for example.
Absolutely.
Because at least he could go wider. He could carry the ball forward better.
Not a big fan of Choftis personally.
No, same.
By the way, I forgot I prepared stats to back up the Royal and Kalulu point. So Kalulu had 70 touches, 64 out of 64 accurate passes, 0 possession lost, and 1 out of 2 aerial duels won, which is good. Great performance by Kalulu. While Emerson lost half his duels. He lost possession 11 times. And the sequence with Yildiz was absolutely embarrassing, where he had the ball up with him behind him with no pressure. He got dribbled and he committed a foul on the edge of the area to receive a yellow card, and that's what prompted Calabria to be brought on instead of him.
Yeah.
Leao tracked back. Interesting observations by the way.
He was pressing. He was pressing.
He was pressing a lot.
Point was it Cambia saw that megged him?
No, it was Conceição. And he waited. He knew exactly what he was going to do. He waited for him, took a touch with the outstep to bait his foot
But I don't care what anyone says. I like seeing that from Leao.
Of course.
I like the press from Leao.
Of course. It's always good to see.
No, he's wasting his energy. He's an athlete. Let him press.
Gatti had a comical foul on Morata in the 27th minute. I don't know if you remember it, but he took him down to the ground like it was in the WWE.
I don't remember.
A Serie D foul, the commentator said. And one more point is that Fonseca keeps repeating that he believes in the Scudetto. Do you believe in the Scudetto?
This season? Not a fucking...
Not a chance in hell.
No
Jennifer.
Way. No way, Jenny.
Jenny, baby. Relax.
Love it. Like, I prefer that approach than the Allegri approach of, no... We're going to try for Champions League and
no, the Allegri approach is much better, bro.
No, I prefer the ignorance, man. We're going for the league. Fuck it.
Being in first place and saying, no, we're the underdogs, we have no chances.
I hate it, bro. I hate that.
It's
Look, I like it when managers and coaches are real. I like being in a real situation. It's like Milan are 10 points behind Napoli. Let's talk length of the season. Is there 20 games remaining? 25 games remaining. There are 13 games played. They had 25 games remaining, whatever. They've not 26. Those 10 or 7 points because of the Bologna game could be made up. Technically, there's a chance, you know. I'd rather someone is real rather than when you're first by fucking 6 points and you're like, no, we're just hoping to make Champions League. Let's be real. You're in that situation. Address it
but you're not inviting pressure.
Look, but
you're evading the pressure every time. You're keeping your team as the underdog, and the underdog is always a better position to be
in. There's pressure if you're a fucking loser, if you're a nerd. If you're a nerd, then you take that as pressure. Use it as motivation. We're here to win the fucking league. Let's eat them.
Let's eat them, bro.
Let's fucking...
You mentioned Allegri. In 13 games last season, he had five more points than Motta does, with Miretti and Dilling starting the games.
How many points did he get in the second half of the season?
Not many.
Wasn't he winless in 9 games?
Yes, and it's a new manager.
These stats are bullshit.
It's just a funny comparison, right?
Stats are bullshit.
I think when it comes to, for example, this situation, obviously Motta is a project. You know, you don't. This isn't the final result. Whereas with Allegri, you are seeing the final product. You are seeing the the definition of the manager that is Allegri.
The
while
tip of the
Motta,
iceberg.
exactly. While Motta, we haven't really seen what his potential is yet. So obviously these comparisons are redundant.
Agreed.
And then if you're comparing Vieira to Gilardino, for example, on the other hand, then it's weird as fuck because they both have a lot of potential, and one of them had experience and was doing well with a team. And that, whatever, we'll get into that
we'll get into
when
it.
the time comes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, bro, and not much I think I would like to add from this game, other than the artwork of the episode. Check it out. It's two zombies playing football, one in a Milan kit and one in a Juve kit. I'm trying to keep them as wacky as possible.
Yeah, they're the best, bro.
Thanks,
they're the
bro.
best. Keep it up. You've been sick all week, so you had your time to do it as well. And by the way, I just want to address, because I know there might be a comment somewhere. Who's this Luigi looking at, motherfucker? I look like Luigi. I get it, all right? I'm in a green hat, I'm in a green top, and I have a mustache. I just want to address it before someone else addresses it before me.
Well done, bro.
Thank you.
Luigi looking at.
We need to say where they stand on the table.
Oh, God, man.
I know.
I never prepared this. It's been 4 seasons.
It's fine.
Juve are currently 6th with 25 points, while Milan are 7th with 19 points.
Yeah, game in hand.
Game in hand, yes. Okay, so we can move on to Napoli-Roma, which is also mine. This was Ranieri's first match in charge since taking over from Juric. And he opted for a 4-4-1-1 formation with Svilar in goal, Angelino and Celik as the fullbacks, with Indica and Mancini as a centre-back pairing, El Shaarawy and Pizzilli on the wings with Cristante and Kone in the middle, Pellegrini as the trequartista playing behind Dovbyk, while Conte went for a 4-3-3 with Meret in goal, Di Lorenzo, Rahmani, Bongiorno and Oliveira at the back, Anguissa, Lobotka and McTominay as the midfield three. Nice to see Lobotka back, Politano on the right, Kvaratskhelia on the left, and Romelu Lukaku up front. Roma were second best for the whole game.
Absolutely.
But they were physical and they managed to stay in the game for the whole time, for the whole duration of it. Even when they were, of course, in the first half, they were in it. In the second half, when they conceded, they still remained in it. You know, I mean, all it would have taken was one goal or a few centimeters on that Dovbyk attempt. The main reason why they managed to stay in it, though, was mostly thanks to Napoli's wastefulness, particularly Guevara in the first minute of the game where he missed what seemed to be a simple header to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes they try to flick it with the side of their head, bro. When I was at Melita as a child, they always told me, head the ball front on, face on with your forehead. It's funny how sometimes the basics don't transcend to that level.
Yeah.
So, and also the wayward crosses that missed Lukaku every time. Di Lorenzo was looking dangerous, attacking the space between the centre-back and the full-back, and Roma didn't seem to have any answers for it, but the cross was always a little bit too wayward until eventually it wasn't. And that would be in the 54th minute where Lukaku managed to get to the end of it. You see Hummels kind of pulling out of the challenge, and he said after the game that he was afraid that Svilar was going to get the ball and that he would score his second own goal in his second cameo as a substitute, and he didn't want that to happen. But he says it was a tough situation, but he takes responsibility for it. I think it's harsh, personally, to blame himself for that when you're in a 50-50 with Lukaku.
It's unfortunate. Simply, he was the one marking Lukaku, so he needs to be held accountable over there. Of course, Lukaku does a great job without fouling you. He's physical enough to shoulder you into a position where you're a foot behind where you need to be. That's where he excels, and he managed to stretch his leg out. Of course, Hummels was in a situation where he's facing the net. All he can do is stick a leg out, and if he does that, he runs the risk of scoring an own goal. So you get the position he's in. It has to be held accountable over there, because he didn't get to the ball before it was put in that situation, or didn't deal with the striker in the first place. Little he could do. I empathize with him, or sympathize for him rather. But you have to hold him accountable for that. It is his error.
And in fact, he did address it, his exact words, where it was a complicated ball to defend. So it's not a full-on error. I was afraid to stick my leg out. I was afraid to score another own goal. And there was also a possibility of Zvilar getting there. So he's sharing the blame a little bit, which fair enough. He said, my job is to defend, and next time I hope to do better, he said. And for those of you watching on YouTube and you've just watched me pour a disgusting mustard-looking drink into my cup.
He's drinking mustard.
This is a concoction, yes. It is ginger. It's got garlic, it's got honey, it's got black pepper.
Lucky me, huh?
And turmeric, brother.
Damn.
This is gonna cure me.
Good luck, bro.
Along with, of course, the medicine.
Exactly. He's popping some honey in right now.
Because without that, it becomes absolutely disgusting.
Delicious amount of honey, bro.
Of course, you can't drink it without that.
No, definitely not. Jake is the he's got this teaspoon and everything here. Bro is the king of home remedies. If you're sick and you don't feel like going to the pharmacy to buy any medicine, just come to Jake's.
Come to me. I'll give you an alternative medicine, a natural antibiotic.
Yep.
Yes. As to back up the medicine the doctor gives, not to replace. Yes, so I want to address as well El Shaarawy's performance, because I thought El Shaarawy looked super inspired, and I think that the season where Roma have been quite low and down and out, El Shaarawy has been almost a leader on the pitch. He's really shouldered the responsibility of being one of the veterans of the club. And I thought this game he was really good going forward, and even defensively on certain occasions, man, where he was, I forgot who it was on, but there was one point where he cleared the ball in a 50-50, and if he hadn't, it would have been a clear shot on target for Napoli. He was substituted at halftime. I found that really weird, personally.
Because he was having a good game.
He was having a good game, yes.
And he was replaced by...
He was replaced, let me tell you.
Because it seems to be
so Hummels and Baldanzi came on for Pellegrini and El Shaarawy. It was indeed a change in system, as they kind of shifted to... So it was kind of like a 4... So Roma switched to a 3-5-2 exactly in the second half.
Yeah, exactly. So they had Indika, Hummels, and then Abdul Hamid came on in the 78th. But before that... Who was on before?
Mancini.
And then Baldanzi was on the right, Angelino on the left, with Kone, Cristante and Dal in the middle, and with Dybala playing behind Dovbyk, and then those are obviously the substituted names. Before it was Pellegrini, so on and so forth.
The Tinker man was tinkering, huh?
He was. And it's interesting how he definitely went for the most physical side possible that he has. And you see, he likes his 4-4 formations, as we saw initially with the 4-4-1-1 formation. With the likes of Cristante and Kone, El Shaarawy, of course, on instead of Soler, because he gives you that defensive hustle as well. Of course, Mancini and Dika.
Apologies, I've dropped my remedy.
Pellegrini and Dovbyk. What we had over here was a very physical team, and I think what he does well is he leaves players to his arsenal to bring on to strengthen the team as the game progresses. While the other team gets weaker, he gets stronger. Roma will get stronger. Of course, Dybala was doubtful for this game, and he was only capable of bringing him on in the 88th minute. One interesting thing is that we didn't see Soler in this game, and I was expecting him to come on a little bit earlier, especially after conceding, just to add some flair. Or add that second striker up front, being Soler, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Ranieri's change was potentially to address Di Lorenzo running in behind, but I think on the occasion of the goal, Kvaratskhelia pass caught them off guard, and I don't think they expected Di Lorenzo's touch to lead him straight into the area, because he touched it with his chest and all of a sudden he's in the box.
Yeah.
I think it happened really soon after the change, like 10 minutes after the formation change, so it was kind of unlucky.
This is also what you get from Ranieri. It's in-game management.
Yeah,
he's a tactician. He will change the formation, he'll change your position, he analyzes a game very well. He's a very, very good in-game manager. And also at the same time, it's good when he's trying out these different things so that he could learn more about the players, learn more about what system is working. Over here, what he did is he got a case study of 45 minutes of what the 4-4-1-1 is looking like, and then a 45 minutes case study of what the 3-4-1-1 is looking like. Now they can shift in and out of it a bit more seamlessly. And I don't think this was a bad loss, obviously, for Roma. Of course, the fans were quite upset about it. Of course, it's a baptism of absolute fucking flames for Ranieri. But like you said, what they did was they stayed in the game. They weren't down and out and demoralized. There was belief around the stadium. There was belief in the camp. And it was an Artem Dovbyk missed sitter at the end that stopped them from getting a miraculous point.
And that's what
when they were being outplayed, you know?
And that's what I was going to mention next, actually, bro. You have this Roma side that is very fragile at the moment when it comes to the whole season, the way it's been psychologically. You can tell these guys are expecting the worst from every game.
Yeah.
And they've been humiliated many times. They've been booed many times. They've seen nervous. They looked relieved when scoring goals against small sides. There are still signs of that. And Dovbyk is the most clear one.
Yep.
Because he's the one who has to be scoring the goals.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a chance in the first half where he was played clean through. Granted, the angle was a little bit awkward, and he didn't shoot. He tried to take a touch and pass, and he ended up losing the ball. If you're a 9, that's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
You have to shoot there. You have to, even if you hit the goalkeeper and it spills out, someone gets a tap in, it goes out for a corner, whatever. But there you have to shoot.
You're right. It is. It's definitely a confidence thing.
And then the header, completely unmarked, scored fucking 20 goals in La Liga like that last season, exactly in that situation. Again, his bread and butter.
Yeah.
Low on confidence, and that will come with Ranieri. So granted, right now they are sat in 12th with 13 points, 4 points above the relegation zone, and it's their worst start of the season since 1978. But things are looking a little bit up for Roma and the Friedkins. I think that this was
great show in Rome.
Great performance in Rome. I think this was this could give them a bit of confidence going forward.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Other than that, I want to also mention that Kvaratskhelia was criticized online. He was one of the worst, apparently, Napoli players, but I thought that he offered a lot of width. I thought that he also drew a lot of attention, freeing up many teammates like McTominay around him, etc., and the overlapping fullback. And let's not forget that he got the hockey assist for the goal. He was the one who switched play to Di Lorenzo. So even when he's not having a good day, Kvaratskhelia, he's absolutely irreplaceable for this now.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to criticize a player for having a day where he isn't absolutely world class like it typically is week in, week out. But that's the caliber of player Kvaratskhelia is, right? If he's not scoring or assisting or embarrassing players, then one section. I'm obviously recording. Sorry, that threw me off a little bit. My phone rang and I don't know, people typically know I'm recording at this time, so
if you want to take it, I'm not sure where your point was going.
Let me just, if you give me 1 second.
Of course.
I'm recording. No, forgot I'm recording. Jesus.
How dare she?
Sorry. That's the caliber of player Kvara is, right? If he doesn't embarrass players or school players, then he has an off day. And he's worked hard to get to this point. So
yes, and it's not often you see someone arrive in the league and just become an instant regular when it comes to game time, when it comes to expectations, when it comes to contributions, everything. Kvaratskhelia took the league by storm and hasn't stopped since.
Yeah, exactly.
Since his arrival.
Exactly.
Last season, exactly. We saw last season, for example, Napoli had a terrible year. He was good the whole year through.
Yep.
But yeah. One last point about this game, and Roma fans will be fuming that I haven't mentioned this yet, is that the referee, Davide Massa, has been suspended. Because Lukaku, there were 2 challenges by him that had a high leg, and he should have probably been sent off in the first half before he scored his goal. Yes, and the fact that he's been suspended just goes to show that the Roma fans are right to complain about that, and he shouldn't have been on the pitch to get Napoli's goal. So Roma were actually very unlucky this game.
And how annoying, literally it couldn't be worse for Roma in that sense. Their old player who scored against them should have been sent off. I definitely sympathize for the Roma fans over there. Not like they haven't had it tough already.
And it's the classic ruolo del ex over there. Your ex will always score against you. I don't know if you have anything else to add from this game, bro.
No, I'm good, bro. You can go ahead and say where they stand, and we can move on to Verona, Inter.
So Napoli are in first place, of course, with 29 points, 1 point ahead of Atalanta, Inter, Fiorentina, and Lazio, who are all on 28 points.
What a league.
While Roma, of course, are in 12th with 13 points. Yes.
Next up, Verona 0, Inter 5, bro. Absolute dismantling of Verona, who do actually have the worst defense in the league this season by some margin. If you actually look at the standings and look at the goals conceded, they have way more than Como actually do, who are in second place.
They've got 32 goals conceded, while Como have 25. Jesus.
Yeah, that's a 7-goal difference between the bottom two or the top two teams to concede goals this season. And of course, Inter eat that shit up immediately. Verona started in a 3-5-2 formation as Davidovic entered back into the team with Montepò in goal.
Thank God for that, huh?
Yeah, right. Montepò in goal, a backline of Davidovic, Magnani and Danilulic. Bradaric out on the left and Chachu out on the right, with Harrui, Belayan and Serdar in the middle, with Tengsted and Mosquera up front together. Inter, classic 3-5-2 formation, Sommer in goal, backline of Bisseka, Cerbi and Bastoni, Darmian on the right, Carlos Augusto on the left, him and his new hairline, Mkhitaryan, Aslani and Barella in the midfield, with Correa and Thuram starting up front together. Inter, they put on a lethal display. They scored all 5 goals in the first half, and all within the span of 25 minutes. Correa opened the scoring with a delicate chip, and then Marcus Thuram rounded the keeper for the second, and then rounded the keeper again for his third. De Vrij added a fourth with a sharp first-time shot, and Bissek rounded off the rout by turning his marker and scoring with a clever scoop while falling. Verona had a few moments early on. They hit the crossbar and they forced Jan Sommer into some action, but their high defensive line in this game was ruthlessly exposed by Inter's incisive passing, and despite multiple changes at halftime, Verona couldn't muster a response, while Inter managed their lead effectively and efficiently in the second half. This win actually put them first in Serie A momentarily, but this thing that blows my mind, bro, because
playing a high line of Danilulic, Magnani and Davidovic, exactly, against Inter playing a high line. Zanetti's mad.
2 goals that were like 2 minutes apart, both Thuram goals. I would have scored both those goals.
Because he had so much time, right?
So much time.
Yeah, you could do so walking pace.
Literally, bro. So much time and space. And it's not like they were genius passes over the top of the defense and the defenders are sprinting back and they can't quite make it. There's a bit of hustle and bustle. The first one was a simple pass between 2 of the defenders, and Thuram had time and space. It took him like 4 or 5 steps to get in front of the keeper, rounded him and scored. The second one was literally just a lobbed pass, but there was no one in his vicinity. It's abysmal and atrocious defending by Verona, and it's insanity. It's insanity how the same thing happened in such quick succession. Like, how don't you learn in that situation?
Honestly,
bro?
I'm surprised he hasn't been given the sack yet.
Probably they're still clinging on to that 3-0 victory over Napoli, no?
I think it was the same approach, but they don't have the preseason fitness to their advantage now, because they went man for man, had this game against Inter, that was the idea, but to go man for man and play a high line against Thuram, one of the quickest, and
Correa.
And Correa, exactly, who was literally maybe that surprised them a bit.
But you don't play a high line.
You just don't do it, right?
Fonseca's Milan, who are notorious for playing a high line, didn't play a high line against Inter, and they won.
Yeah.
That's what you do against Inter.
Purely, always play the high line against Inter and lost.
Exactly, every single game, losing 3-0 and
in fact,
who the fuck do Verona think they are?
Before the game, Zanetti said, Inter are one of the top teams in Europe, but we wanted to play our game. We hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Your fans must have loved it. Yeah. Wow. Correa, his first start in Serie A since 2022. And he got a goal and 2 assists, and his first goal, of course, since October 2022. And let me tell you what, bro.
He looked good.
When it comes to... So, Inter have, of course, Lautaro Martinez and Thuram. And then they've got an array of options between Arnautovic, Correa, and Meditaremi. Has Correa become the favourite over there out of those three?
Honestly, it's not like Taremi has cemented his spot, hasn't scored a goal yet, looks alright. But I think that this performance by Correa has been better than what we've seen from Arnautovic and Taremi for sure, by quite a margin. Granted, it was against Hellas Verona, but there are plenty of games against sides like this in the league. So he's definitely a good option for rotation. I haven't seen him play this well since his Lazio days.
Yeah, really intelligent game, bro. Really intelligent game. He had a little dummy in his goal, clever little chip over the
and
keeper.
Nice rapport with his teammates as well, with Thuram doing his celebration as well.
They assisted each other. It was really cute. Thuram assisted him in the first goal, and then he immediately assisted him just 5 minutes later. I was going to say something. Yes. So I think that stylistically... So I think that Correa must be the favourite after a performance like that, because you play him his first start since 2022, and he does that, a goal and 2 assists. It's amazing, especially for a well-gelled team like Inter. He just goes in and fits it instantly. He has experience, right? I think if Lautaro is out and Thuram is starting, Correa. I think if Lautaro is starting and Correa is out, then perhaps Arnautovic or Taremi, because their qualities of having of being target men with good close ball control and playing alongside Lautaro would be better. And then Thuram offering the more target man with Correa doing the hustle instead of Lautaro. That balance, it seems like they have an option for everything.
It's true.
And even
good observation.
Many options for the target man role. Taremi is a nice in between, and he's not exactly a target man, is he? He's a very technically able, tough striker, so he could potentially fit alongside both of those strikers.
It's true. They definitely have quite a few options, and it was a problem, that Taremi hadn't been scoring. But this Correa option out of the blue completely.
Right?
Just,
out of nowhere,
great
bro. Out of fucking nowhere.
We'll see if he can keep it up.
Yeah.
I'm just reading what Zanetti said at the end of the game. He said he'll do anything possible. He'll do anything that's needed for Verona. He even said that he's willing to go in retiro until June. And retiro, for those who don't know, is what clubs do when things are going badly, where they lock themselves in a hotel room or basically some kind of accommodation altogether, and they basically live together 24/7. It's essentially a punishment for the players, and it's only in times of crisis. And the idea is to bring the team together to try to build more chemistry and rapport. And
also, let's not act as though that isn't a very old school way to do things, because
it is, but it's done, and we've seen Milan do it. We've seen it's done.
Bro, but well. You're burning the guys out to the ground, dog, and it's not always the best thing to do. I respect it, and I think sometimes Milan, for example, should do more of that shit. But I'll never forget. Of course, I can never forget this. But when Milan beat Inter, Matchday 3 or whatever it was, Inter didn't go home. They stayed together and they trained and whatever. Milan fans were capable of going home to their families, and then they went into the game fresh and they won the game. And I'm not saying that that's the case all the time. It's good to spend time with your teammates, to do some overtime every now and then. But imagine overtime all the time forever. You're going to get burnt out. These guys are going to get burnt out. But it depends on They're going to get injured.
But it depends. They're not constantly training on a retiro. Retiro just means they eat together. They spend time together.
If I were to spend so much time with my workmates, even if we weren't working, as much as I love every single one of them, I'll want to die. I'll get burnt out.
It's your responsibility and your teammates to avoid the situation by elevating your performance on the pitch. If you are in retiro, it's not because you've been unlucky. Como aren't in retiro, and they're in the relegation pool.
I believe in a balanced workplace, bro. That's what I believe in. I believe in a balanced workplace, and I think if you have to revert to retiro to get something out of your team, then it's a problem.
Clearly, yes, I agree. Especially when it might be the coach who's responsible.
Right. I don't even think Verona have been, well, apart from their
they should have scored 2 goals from the get-go.
Yes, bro, yes. Verona, Their defense has always been the issue. And I read out the 3 centre-backs that they have. Let's not act as though Davidovic, Magnani and Danilulic haven't been their 3 centre-backs for the past 4 seasons and they've always had defensive issues.
Yeah.
So, of course. Thuram, his goals come in batches. He spends a few games where he doesn't score and then he scores 2 goals or a hat-trick. But a good... I guess a good doppietta for him.
Yeah.
Against cementing himself as the top goal scorer for Inter this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was also interesting to see, now this is like the first time, I don't know if Inter do this often, but it's the first time I've noticed it, where there seemed to be a shift to a 4-2-3-1 formation when Inter were on the ball, which was very, very interesting to see. Don't see it very often. I'm actually going to check.
Was it when Acerbi got injured? Because maybe it was out of necessity.
It was in the second half. I'm actually going to check if I have a visual of it.
Because De Vrij came in the 15th minute.
Okay, so here we are. So Buchanan came in and he slotted into the right back role. Darmian left back, Bissek, De Vrij, 2 centre backs. Yes, it was when what's his name, Acerbi went off.
No,
injured.
so that's in the 15th minute when Acerbi went off. So this is probably when Buchanan came on the 74th.
Yes, when you're right, but hold on. They seem to sport this for a long time in the game. But when Buchanan came on, you're right. So when Buchanan came on, they shifted off 4 at the back. Buchanan right back, Bissek, De Vrij, centre backs, Darmian left back. Zielinski, Aslani in the pivot. Frattesi, Mkhitaryan, Correa behind Arnautovic. Just interesting to see because I know in possession teams always shift around shape, but it's the first time I really noticed it. Now, guys, if I'm saying something obvious, let me know.
Tell Luigi he's an idiot.
Woo! Whatever noise Luigi makes. Yahoo! That's the one. But that's pretty much it for this game. And if you're happy to move on,
I am indeed.
We could jump to
Inter, once again looking like one of the strongest teams in the league. They currently stand in 3rd place with 28 points, while Verona are in 14th with 12 points and probably heading into Retiro.
Yeah, 99%. Imagine being in Retiro with Zanetti, huh? That must be pretty fucking scary.
I think so.
Yeah.
He's a rabid man, isn't he?
Absolutely. Parma 1, Atalanta 3 next.
Ooh.
So, Atalanta went into their international break on a 6-game winning streak. Now they're on a 7-game winning streak. Good to see Scalvini featuring off the bench in this game. Parma, of course, still have some setbacks, missing players like Barnaby, who is essential for their system. But they started in a 4-2-3-1 formation with Zion Suzuki in goal and the backline of Koulibaly, Del Prato, Balò and Valeri, Som and Estevez in the pivot with Benediciak on the left, Cancelleri on the right, and Mann playing behind Boni. It was a 3-4-1-2 formation for Gasperini's men with Carnesecchi in goal and the backline of Kosunu, Hien and Toloi, Bellanova out on the right, Ruggeri out on the left, and a midfield 3 really of their own, Ederson and Pasalic, with Retegui and Lookman starting up front together. In the opening moments, and it was the 4th minute when Retegui opened the scoring. It was a good cross by Bellanova. What you see over here, bro, in this very brief play-by-play is the wingers.
Yeah.
Wing play, and not only that, but throughout the game, what you'll notice is great chemistry between these wingers and the strikers, particularly between Ruggeri and Lookman. They were excellent because obviously Lookman drops in a bit deeper than Retegui does, so he gets more opportunities. On the other side, what you see and then is more lethal finishing touch moves. So Bellanova putting it on a plate for Retegui. You see more build up from the other side, however. It's 2 really interesting dynamic
we've got a
ways
dynamic
of attacking.
left side and a direct right side.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
Yes.
There were a couple disallowed goals, and then in the 9th minute, Lookman, actually 2 very interesting disallowed goals. They both came from backheel assists to Lookman. He had one disallowed after a Pasalic backheel in the 9th minute, and then he had another in the 72nd minute, and it was Ederson's backheel assist.
Wow.
But back to the goals, and then Atalanta doubled their lead in the 39th minute. It was Ederson, who was unmarked at the far post, a simple tap-in from a Ruggeri low cross. In the 49th minute, just at the start of the second half, Cagliari scored a ferocious goal to bring Parma back into it, and you saw the stadium rose to its feet. They actually believed that they could do something over there. Gasperini reached a boiling point and got sent off 6 minutes after that, so Parma really started believing.
They rattled them a bit.
Yeah. However, then the 75th minute, Cuadrado provided Lookman with a precise low cross that was volleyed in by the striker. And in the late moments, we saw Scalvini make a return from injury, coming in to replace Toloi. I want to bring this up because apparently, so Scalvini is back and he's slowly being reintegrated into the team. Scamacca is soon back. We're seeing more clips of him in training now. Imagine the steroid thing is real, because you don't recover from an ACL in 5 fucking months.
It's not.
Scalvini. Now he's 19 years old or 20 years old, whatever. So sure, he recovers quick and whatever. Is it A, incredibly risky what they're doing, or is it B, that for some reason Atalanta have this? It's like when the Germans in World War II thought they were onto something when they were fucking not sleeping for 7 days.
You're talking about the Blitzkrieg.
And then, no, but either the Blitzkrieg or the fact that they were doing crystal meth. Are Atalanta doing something similar over there? I have no idea.
I think that Atalanta have a fantastic model for developing players when it comes to every aspect of it. The treatment they do, the programs they put their players on. I assume that the training and the diet is always tailored to the individual, because everyone, they get the best out of their players typically when they conform to Gasperini and his system and the Atalanta environment. Now, lest we forget, the one time there was a random doping test thing. Remember, they went to the Atalanta headquarters once to do a random inspection, and Gasperini freaked out and got aggressive towards the people who showed up. There might be a reason for that. I don't know. Of course, I don't want to sit here and make claim. Exactly.
But you know what, bro?
This is crazy. Scalvini and Scamacca, I've never seen anything like it. 2 players recovering from ACLs. Scamacca's entire knee collapsed and he's running.
We have no sponsor controlling what we say right now. We are Serie Spotlight. We are Matt and Jake. I'm telling you that there's just, let us not completely rule out that there might be something bizarre going on over there, because you don't recover from an ACL tear. You don't break your entire fucking leg and recover in 5 months. You don't.
Yeah.
Not even Zlatan, like, who's a superhero at recoveries. Let's just say there might be some fucking old school, like, put some whiskey on the dummy and put him to sleep. Let's just fucking inject his ass with steroids.
A little bit of juice.
Give him some juice and let's fucking go. And no wonder everyone gets fucking buff when they play for Atalanta. What's this, Gasperini? Giving them steroids? What's this? Getting his players ready for Mr. Olympia, man. Gasperini.
Maybe he's on some himself. Imagine he takes off, like they win the league, takes off his shirt, he's fucking jacked, Gasperini.
I like this. We're on to something here, bro.
Yeah, it could be.
Imagine we crack it.
It's been speculated for ages, you know. I mean, there have been memes of like Scamacca in an incubator and Gasperini like pressing a button and releasing him, you know. It's been mentioned for a while. It's crazy when players go to Atalanta and they suddenly change physically and they start performing well. Of course, people are gonna make a claim, especially with the whole headquarters incident.
You remember when players would join Portsmouth and just automatically get 99 shooting? You had Peter Crouch scoring from 35 yards out, like when he joined Portsmouth.
I remember that, bro. Kevin Prince Boateng.
Same thing with Atalanta, of course. It's hard to speak about Atalanta without talking about the capocannoniere at the moment, Retegui. His 12th goal in 13 matches. Just bizarre how good he's been. And his partnership with Lookman, they are the undisputed starting two. And when Scamacca comes back, he's going to have a very, very tough time displacing any of these guys, because I think there's an argument to be made that Lookman is top 3 players in the league, top 3 attackers in the league, because he's absolutely unplayable. He's so intelligent. He has so much up his sleeve. He's selfless as well. You don't really see him being selfish. Great shot, great finishing, great dribbling. Wow, he's just on steroids. And Retegui, you simply cannot bench someone like that.
No, and this will do Scamacca a world of good, because Scamacca is the type of player who needs to be hungry to play well. He easily grows complacent. So in having him come on and forcing him to fight for his spot will hopefully get the best out of him. Because if Atalanta were just waiting desperately for their number 9 to come back because they need him to step into the team, they'll be hungry at first because he'd been out for a while, but then, he'll plateau.
Yeah.
But like this, he's constantly fighting for his spot, and that's what Scamacca needs.
And much like the Frattesi-Barella thing we spoke about last week, it's kind of the same thing we have over here with Scamacca's competing with Retegui, and Retegui's competing with Scamacca for the national team and for a club as well. So Scamacca has that extra bit of chip on his shoulder. Like, the guy literally tore his entire leg, and they brought this guy in, his nemesis for Italy, his competition for Italy.
And he hasn't stopped scoring.
That must fucking hurt.
Suck.
Like, if it's not the steroids or whatever that we're joking about, God, no wonder he's working himself so much to recover.
Of course.
It must be fucking painful for him.
He'll come on before he scores another hat-trick.
Literally.
But, I think the only reason Retegui is better than Scamacca is the mental aspect.
The hustle, no?
The hustle, man, that's it. Because Scamacca, who has a better touch, Retegui or Scamacca? Scamacca, who's got a better shot, Retegui or Scamacca? Scamacca, who's got better technique overall, Retegui or Scamacca?
Scamacca, who has better positioning.
Retegui.
Who's smarter.
Yes, Retegui. Who wants it more.
Who wants it more.
Retegui.
And that's a key one.
Who's more willing to fucking go into a 50-50 and crack his skull open, Retegui.
Exactly.
He's the guy you want, man. And, of course, it depends on what game and who the matchup is, but Gasperini can find a lot of success in balancing them and rotating them, and he will rotate them. They don't have to worry. Scamacca doesn't have to worry about being phased out. This isn't Milan, where if Morata's on form, Tammy will get 20 minutes if he's lucky.
Yeah.
Exactly. These guys will play one half each during the week.
Yeah.
One half each in the Champions League. They're
and that's it.
Heavy rotation.
And
that could be it. That could be part of the Gasperini philosophy as well, and why they do so well, man. The way he rotates his players and the way he trusts so many players. We saw in the Milan game, he waited until the 80th minute to make substitutions. 70th, he brought on Pulisic. 82nd, he made 3 substitutions. He doesn't trust his players.
Bro, this is their first season without Cope Miners. Did you notice? I completely forgot they had them. Why? Because, first they had Papu Gomez. They lost Papu Gomez. So we're like, how are they going to recover from this? They lost Ilic. How are they going to recover from this? They lost Coop Miners. How are they going to recover from this? They fucking recover.
Always.
Now they have CDK. CDK is another guy I want to talk about, because who scores 3 goals and gets 8 assists in the last 6 matches? No one. Certainly not a Milan reject. Absolutely ridiculous numbers, and the way they manage to get the best.
Atypical. Even you look at Lookman and you look at CDK, the way they play their average positions, they're operating as half wingers, both of them, behind the striker. It's really cool the way they're playing, man. And like this game, look here, they've got Lookman operating mostly on the left, Retegui operating in the center, and then the right is just to be attacked by Bellanova.
Literally, all that space
and
for Bellanova.
And Pasalic, of course, operating everywhere. And then Ederson running in behind on the right as well. So it's kind of like Ederson and Bellanova operating on the right, with Ederson trying to make late runs into
another
the box.
guy I want to talk about.
Ederson is the Coop Miners replacement, in reality.
Fantastic. What a player.
He's excellent. He's totally complete as a midfielder. There's nothing he can't do.
If there's one area where they might be a bit thin, it's the pivot.
The double pivot.
If there's one area where they might be a little bit
because
thin,
of substitutes, you're saying?
Substitutes,
yes.
Because Brescianini, CDK, Pasalic, all these guys are more of a Samardzic. These are all trequartisti.
It's true. Ederson, in fact, an Ederson injury could ruin their whole season.
It could. they have to make a January signing there. If they make a January signing there, with the fucking depth that they have, they can challenge multiple competitions and they can fight. They're apparently in the official odds, which put Napoli third favourites to win the league and Inter clear favourites, by the way. Atalanta are in second. Why? Because they have a manager that knows the team and that has been with them around for ages, giving his team steroids and performance enhancers. You have a team of, stars. A star-studded team, Atalanta, and a deep star-studded team. All they need is a bit more depth in the double pivot role.
Humble stars,
absolutely.
And you're absolutely right, bro. This double pivot, this is reminding me of Milan's problem with Reinders and Fofana. They don't have replacements.
It would be bizarre if they don't bring someone in January.
Look at this. So a defensive crisis would force Darun in the centre-back position, and Pasalic will have to partner Ederson in the double pivot, which sucks. We've addressed that. And then Ederson injury will literally leave them without anyone who can with Brescianini, I guess, is the closest who can do that.
Maybe, bro, if they play with Hien, Toloi, and
Scalvini midfield, you're gonna say?
Yeah.
I think that would have to be the case.
That would have to be the case. John Stones, baby.
That's true.
Parma had a moment with Cancelleri's amazing goal, but not really an opportunity over here for Parma to show what they're made of. They had it very tough up against a team who have 6 wins on the trot, and Parma, on the other hand, are struggling. I don't think they had much of an opportunity to do much over here. They had flashes of quality. They remain in the relegation zone now. They have this problem, Parma. Not this game, but in general, their strength and their downfall is similar. They have a good group of players. They have a group of talented players. I think they need someone to manage them a little bit better, because it almost seems like they won Serie B because of individuals. That's what it feels. Oh, they're not in the relegation zone.
They're not. They're 13th. But it's so tight. They're not exactly.
They're 3 points away.
I think, judging by the performances on the pitch, it's very difficult to let him go, the manager, Pecchia. They've got 2 wins, 6 draws, and 5 losses. Which
it pains me how many of those draws they should have won.
That's it. They should have won many of those games. And in theory, I think the trajectory and their ambitions are all right. They're on the right path, but it can easily go south. I agree with you. And the injury of Barnaby doesn't help at all. Barnaby, whatever the fuck you say his name. But I don't think they should touch the manager for now. Leave things as it is. You know, it's not going terribly.
Mm-hmm. No, that's where we might disagree. I think around December, they should look at the managerial situation, because I really, really believe that they have a team that is capable. I think they're talented going forward because there's good chemistry between the players. I don't want to take anything away from the manager. You don't just win Serie B because you have a good group of players. I'm being a bit of a dick here. But with their group of players, bro, I think they could be doing much better.
Maybe. To be honest, their own supporters themselves were very critical on the manager when they were on their losing streak.
Yeah.
Now they've got tough games coming up, man. They've got Lazio and Inter back to back. Lazio at home and Inter away. But then they have Verona, which essentially for them is a must-win. Roma, and then Parma. And then Monza, which they come in. So I think it will be very telling, the month of December. Maybe going into the new year, we'll see them with a new manager.
They're going to go on a string of losses now, man.
Yeah. I think they'll... But to be honest, they've put up a good fight against the big teams, man. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get something out of Lazio or Inter and then fucking lose to Verona. You know what I mean?
That's true. Just some news is that Boni won't be at Parma next year. He's attracting Milan, he's attracting Juve, and he's especially Napoli. Napoli want him. It makes too much sense. He's a younger, healthier, more athletic Lukaku, the way that he plays, and he's very good at hold-up play, but he's also good and then on the turn and facing goals.
It's true. Put a mask on him, you've got Ozzy, man.
Yo.
No, obviously I'm being hyperbolic.
Yeah.
But Bonnie's a very good, exciting talent. 20 years old, plays like he has a lot more experience than that. So yeah,
for sure. Atalanta find themselves in second place. They have the best. Do they? 1 second. Yes, they have the best goal difference with positive 18, which puts them in second place behind Napoli. Of course, level on points with Inter, Fiorentina, and Lazio. On the other hand, Parma find themselves in 13th on 12 points, which means that they're only 2 points ahead of Como, who are in 18th place.
Perfect. We can move on to Lazio Bologna, bro. This game was a 3-0 victory for Lazio, and the scoreline can be very misleading, I think, in this way, because Bologna actually put up a decent fight for the majority of the game.
Yeah, with 10 men.
Lazio secured their 5th consecutive Serie A win here, solidifying their second place position alongside another 4 teams. While Bologna, on the other hand, were on a positive trajectory, so their 9-match unbeaten streak come to an end. They were unbeaten in 9 games, Bologna.
Wow.
Hey, it didn't feel that way.
Jesus, how many of them were draws? 9?
Probably. So for Lazio, it was a 4-3-3 with Provedel in goal, Lazzari, Hila, Romagnoli and Pellegrini at the back, with Guendouzi, Rovella and Vecino in the middle, Pedro starting on the right, Zaccagni starting on the left, and Castellanos up front. As for Bologna, it was a 4-2-3-1 formation with Ravaglia in goal, because Skorupski randomly became unavailable. Not sure what happened. Miranda on the left, De Silvestri on the right, with Lukumi and the Beukema as the centre-back partners. Pobega and Freuler were in the double pivot, with Carlson on the left, Orsolini on the right, and Castro up front, with Odegaard playing off his shoulders. Bologna actually started strongly with a disciplined defensive performance. I thought they looked organized, they looked compact, and they looked like they were pressing high and really taking the game to Lazio. However, the game, of course, turned on its head after Tommaso Pobega was sent off in the 35th minute following a second yellow card for a clumsy foul on Guendouzi after previously fouling Lazzari. He got a double yellow in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And as Matthew said in the intro, this one was totally unprovoked, unprompted. He was pressing in Lazio's own box and he slid so stupidly to attempt to dispossess Guendouzi and ended up cluttering his man for a clear second yellow. He almost got it.
Would have been a goal as well, probably, if he got it. But, like...
Italiano said...
There are risks worth taking, and there's risks that if you have a bit more experience and you have a bit more maturity that aren't worth taking. And I think that's what he lacked there.
Italiano said 2 things that confused me in the way that, like is he pissed off at Pobega? He must be surely Italiano. But he loves him, he had him at Spezia. He was quite good for him there. He said, on the one hand, I feel sad for Tommy because he had been playing well. Which is true, right? And the only reason he got that second yellow was because of his desire, his hunger. It wasn't controlled. And then he said, I had warned the players about these silly yellow cards. So I wonder if Pobega, who had just started to find his form, will have a spell on the side for now, or if not. I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll see. He's not sad. He's disappointed.
I think so. Yeah.
Sorry.
He's not angry.
He's not angry. He's
disappointed, which is worse. Always. But yes, Pobega was actually really improving his game, but too much to prove. What was his caption, bro, on Instagram?
I was hungry, so I fed my appetite.
There we go.
I was hungry for the game or something, so I fed my appetite.
I was hungry for the game, so I fed my appetite.
Fuck yes, Tommy.
Red card. So, yes, that was in the 35th minute, and Lazio capitalized on their numerical advantage, starting off in the 68th minute, scoring through Samuel Gigon, whose celebration, bro, fueled me with adrenaline. This guy.
Kick the ball, though,
Yeah.
Kick it, man.
I think the way the delivery came in, he was expecting it to be higher up. I think it must have taken, I don't quite remember right now, but it must have taken a deflection on the way and maybe maybe ended up coming in lower than he anticipated it. I think he was locked in that he's going to head it. It was too low to head and he is committed anyway. He ended up almost bending on his knees and heading the ball into the ground.
Bro, he almost concussed himself to get a header over there.
And you see this guy.
It's good that he didn't get caught between two minds, because that could have been the miss of the century if he did. He committed, fuck it, and he got it.
He committed, he scored, and you see this guy, this giant Frenchman.
He's cool,
with a mullet. His hair is similar to yours.
Yes.
I think his is longer. He's got a longer mullet than you.
I'm working on it. I got a trim up top, and I kept the back a bit longer.
Very cool.
Fucking full on, bro.
Nice, bro. Why not?
Thanks.
Why the hell not? And this guy looked like a bloody Spartan celebrating, screaming and running. He ran the full length of the pitch to the bench of Lazio. All the players jumped on him, and then afterwards he did he got on one knee and closed his fist and put it to his heart like a proper warrior, you know.
Literally.
And then he got up and banged his chest down.
Gladiator 3.
It meant a lot to him.
Jigos, his grandson.
Yeah, there we go. And then after that, to be honest, Bologna had to try to equalize, and the game opened up. And then next thing they know is Zaccagni's leading a counter-attack, and he curls it into the bottom corner. And then at the end of the game, Isaacson rounds the goalkeeper. I'm pretty sure he dives. I'm not sure the goalkeeper connected
maybe
with
a
him.
small, knowing Serie, it was a clip, and it would have been a red card.
And it was Della Bashiru who tapped it in to get his goal. And the fans were singing po po pororo Della Bashiru. So yes, Baroni's side initially struggled. Had to break down Bologna's compact 4-2-3-1.
I mean that's and then you're saying before the red card,
and then I'm saying that Lazzari played a very crucial role in stretching Bologna's defense. The halftime adjustments, Gigon was brought on for Romagnoli to probably add a little bit of an aerial presence. I think maybe because of the fact that they were a man down, they wanted to capitalize on set pieces, and in fact that's how the goal came. And then Baroni, after the red card, switched to a 4-2-3-1, bringing on Isaacson and Dia to increase attacking options. That's some good bloody depth for Lazio, and look what a solution that is.
It is. It's the first time we've seen them with good depth in a while, man.
They utilized that was the problem under Sarri, no depth. They utilized the flanks amazingly through Zaccagni and Lazzari. The transitions were quick. They overwhelmed Bologna. When Bologna had to reshuffle their defense, they barely gave them time to get used to it.
Wow, bro, they probably didn't have depth because their wage bill was fucking high. With Ciro, Luis Alberto, Milinkovic-Savic back in the day as well.
That's it.
They probably didn't afford decent depth. Now they don't have like star players apart from Zaccagni, naturally.
And they've got many players doing well at the same time, which is excellent for them.
Pedro, Tati, Dia, Chauna, and all these guys, Isaacson, Guendouzi, you know, they mustn't have a super high wage bill, and they have a good group, man. They have a very good group.
They do. Meanwhile, at halftime, Italiano tried to replace Orsolini and Carlsen with Moro and Urbanski, but even further, he worsened the attacking threat of Bologna. And despite a few long-range efforts in the first half, I don't even think Provedel was tested this game. So yeah, it was pretty much a straightforward game to analyze. The game was shifted on its head by Tommaso Pobega's red card.
No, and I think Bologna were far too compromised. They already struggle to get forward and to get going, and they struggle with solid passages of play, let alone with a man down in midfield, right? They ended up pretty much playing a 5 at the back the entire game. They had Miranda, Lukumi, Beukema, Silvestri and Home, all on the pitch, pretty much a 5 at the back, then Fabian, Moro and Urbanski in the middle with Dalling up front.
Yeah, and that was when they were 2-0 down. So playing 5 at the back with Home. Yeah, he came on in the 80th, so you could tell like it was damage control at that point.
That's it, right? And it's always a shame because these early red cards always really ruin a game, man. And you see them, and the blame is all on Tommy P, unfortunately, in this situation, because he compromised his team to fuck. They couldn't attack. They had to focus their entire energy on defending Lazio, and how long can you defend for?
Absolutely, bro. So Lazio are one of the teams in second, meaning they're in fifth with 28 points, while Bologna are in eighth with 18 points. Their undefeated streak, by the way, to get into it, bro. They had a win against Roma, a win against Lecce, a win against Cagliari, a draw to Genoa, a draw to Parma, a draw to Atalanta, a win to Monza, a draw to Como, a draw to Empoli. Their last loss was a 3-0 loss to to Napoli. They're very low-key, they're not flashy, and they're not dropping many points here. So I guess they'll be
That's
European
quite impressive.
contenders.
I thought they were doing worse than that, to be honest. Probably because they're like a limp cock, unfortunately, on the pitch. Excellent.
They're as limp as they come, bro. Absolutely.
They are limp.
Italiano's limp system. No head.
Limp biscuit. Como nil Fiorentina 2, shall we?
Let's go.
This
another
is
Fiorentina are wrecked.
Another. They're so hard. This is another team that have 7 victories in a row. They have 7 inches and Atalanta have 7 inches. Yeah. Fiorentina played in a... I have the wrong lineup here. Whoopsie. Just give me a second while I pull up this. Okay, I pull up. Fiorentina played in their 4-2-3-1 formation. David De Gea and goal, backline of Dodo, Comuzzo, Ranieri and Gosens, Cataldi and Dudley in the double pivot, with Colpani, Beltran and Bove playing behind Moise Kean. For Como, for Cesc Fabregas, it was a 4-2-3-1 formation also. Audero and goal, backline of Sala, Barba, Dossen and Goldaniga, Engelhardt and Acuna in the double pivot with Moreno, Paz and Fadera playing behind Cutrone. I'm so discombobulated, sorry. Obviously both teams have a few injuries, but particularly Como, who are missing Sergio Roberto, Strefezza, Perrone, Baselli, Mazzitelli. Of course, Fiorentina missing Biraghi, Goodmanson and Richardson, who didn't make the trip. So Fiorentina opened the deadlock in the 19th. It was Adli that unleashed a powerful low strike from the edge of the box that went straight through Audero. Sorry for this, I'm really stalling. There were a few more opportunities. However, in the 60th minute, all the headlines were about David De Gea's triple save. It was a free kick that led to chaos in the Fiorentina box. It was De Gea that stopped Goldaniga's initial close-range effort. He reacted quickly to block Federico Barba's follow-up and then swatted the ball away before Goldaniga could pounce once again. An absolutely ridiculous triple save there by David De Gea, showing once again that it's ridiculous that he was ever unemployed.
So unorthodox his goalkeeping. He's like a handball goalkeeper. He does all the saves with his legs.
Yeah.
That second save with his leg was wicked.
It was great. It was great. And then the 68th minute, of course, it had to be Moise Kean to get his weekly goal at this point. It was some really good pace by Sotil on the wing, which we haven't really seen from Sotil in a while.
But this is how Palladino seems to be utilizing him, bringing him on late into the game for these counter-attacks, because his pace is it's 90% of his game. Sotil, the fact that he runs tirelessly, you know. And it seems that Palladino has found good use for him because he is looking threatening.
Agreed. In the 92nd minute, and then Como went down to 10 men as Dossena slapped Adli off the ball. I don't know if it was a slap or an eye poke, to be honest. It was one of them.
These.
I don't know, because I saw it from behind and it seems like he just tapped him more than anything. So Adli went down dramatically. So it must have been a tap on the face. I doubt it was an eye poke. What we saw, and the reason I was stalling is because I was deciding whether or not I should say this in chronological order or just keep it as a talking point. I think it's a good talking point. Is in the second half, Como switched to a back three, where Jovin came in and he pushed Moreno higher up the field, and it helped Como dominate possession early in the second half. And then in the 76th minute, Fiorentina, and then also switched to a back three where they brought on Martinez Quarta and the entire team shifted as well. So good tactical versatility from both teams, really. But 7 consecutive wins for Fiorentina. And beyond the goals and De Gea's heroics, what stands out to you in Fiorentina as a team?
I think that Fiorentina have a bunch of hungry players who are all playing to their strengths. That's the cool thing about it. So Adli, you're not forcing him to be something he isn't. You're letting him be. I saw a comment, someone was calling him the painter.
Ooh.
You're letting him paint. Let bro paint. Bro's an artist. Let him paint. You know, you have Bove. You know what Bove does well. Utilize him in that way. You know, you've got Beltran, not quite a striker, not quite a winger. Play him behind the striker. You know, Moise Kean loves running in behind. He's quick. He's strong. Play him through constantly. Play him through. And they're just Palladino's very good at this, man. At realizing what people are capable of and adapting his system to these individuals.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen it fantastically in this Fiorentina side.
Yeah, completely. I agree. I thought the three outstanding performers, of course, there's Keane and De Gea, who time and time again have been awesome. Adli as well has been absolutely great. Good to see Sotil back and doing something. It's also we've been seeing him in rotation because of the Conference League. And I think he's a good player that shouldn't go to waste. I think he has a lot to offer. Needs some refining, but I also think that there was a time when Fiorentina almost forgot about him. He had good performances in the past. I think he was a nailed-on starter for them. It was almost the next big thing for Italy's left wingers in that sense, coming up with Zaniolo and Chiesa. But seemed just to be forgotten at a point in time. And I don't know if he never really took that next step, did he? He always seemed to be this up-and-comer. Never really fucking established himself. But playing against Como's high line, the way he broke through the left in that goal was really, really impressive, and it reminded me of what he's capable of.
Yes.
Now I want to talk a bit about Como. Como, by the way, had a higher XGG than Fiorentina. Their XGG was 1.14 to Fiorentina's 0.96.
More possession as well. 57%.
More possession, 57%. Same amount of shots on target. Como's classic thing is that they don't finish their chances, right? With Cutrone being the main guy that grabs them their goals. But I thought of something else, which just, I don't know how involved Fabregas is in this investment side of Como. He, of course, forms part of the investment group that took charge of the club alongside notable figures like Thierry Henry. And they often look at the sustainability of the club. They often look at the brand associated to the club. They often look at the finances related to the club. We've also seen Fabregas do other gigs where he's been seen in punditry and he's been quite active on YouTube as well. But sticking more to what he's doing definitely right now, he is the head coach of Como, and he is also part of this investment group that took charge of Como. Do you think it's already hard enough being a Serie A manager for a newly promoted team as is? Do you think this dual role could be spreading him too thin? I don't feel like I know enough about his role. It's just as in within the investment group. I just think it's worth pointing out.
I think probably he sits with the board to discuss future plans and decisions that affect the team. But I'm sure he's given a lot of time, and the main responsibility of his job is to manage the group of players. Is what's his name still working alongside him? Who's
Ossian Roberts? I believe so.
Okay. I mean, hopefully he's being given the responsibility of managing the team first and foremost as a priority before anything else, right? You would assume that's the case here.
His personal cash is in the team.
Yes,
you know.
But that could be seen as a good thing as well. You know, I highly doubt this guy sleeps much. You know.
Yeah, he's the interim head coach at Como.
He was the interim head coach.
What's his current role, man? What is his current
I'm
role?
sure that he's involved somewhere.
Think so.
I think maybe it could be the youth team. I had seen something, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me see. I'm just pulling it up now because I hate to leave people without answers. Okay, he's the team coordinator.
Coordinator.
Okay, he's the team coordinator.
Okay, so he's involved, yes.
Uh-huh.
So he's got a guy who's kind of experienced as well in the field. Helping him out. Is there a chance he gets sacked?
That's my next question. And does this dual role impact a decision to sack him in any way?
I think it impacts the decision very heavily. I don't think you're going to sack a person. You're not going to sack someone who's involved in the club financially, right? Maybe if he agrees to take a stand, to take a step and bring someone else in, that's a different story. But
Maybe there's a clause in the
there
contract
could
that
be,
says
if we're not at this stage or if we're in the relegation pool by the end of the year, you know, maybe.
Or maybe it's a clause that protects him.
Could be as well. We don't know.
There's a lot
we'll have to see.
There's a lot of question marks.
There is, and I think that as it stands, it's not like he deserves to be sacked. Again, I don't think so at all. I think there are clubs who look more dire than Como right now, and there is hope, you know, judging by the way they play. They can only get better, and they are kind of improving on the pitch when it comes to their style of play. The problem is that they're not getting the results.
They're not getting any results
at all.
They're not getting
and
any results.
They haven't won in a long time now. Their last victory came against Verona, of course, at the end of September. So
I mean, I'm just looking at their past
and
few matches.
They drew the matches to Parma. They drew against Genoa as well. These are games they should have won. They lost to Empoli.
They lost to Empoli. These are games that you should, with this project, with the millions that have been invested in by this tobacco company that's invested in them. They should be getting results by now. You look at Monza. When they got promoted, sure, it took them 6-7 games, but after that they were free flowing. They were getting some results. At this point, they got 2 victories in 2 weeks. One of them was over Atalanta, and the other one, remind me, against Atalanta and Verona.
Yeah.
Huge, Allah. Verona got a red card in that game. Gargantuan. I don't know if they can sack him. I'm not saying they should sack him now, but it just seems like sometimes when I see them play, it just seems like, okay, they're fluid and we've praised them for playing attractive football.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it just feels like other teams are capable of making one pass to get to a certain position.
When they have to make 14.
Why are they making 14?
Yeah.
They could definitely be
more pragmatic.
They need some classic Italian juice to them. Why is everything so modern and brand and...
Fair enough. Good point, bro. I think that December will be telling for many of these small teams because as it stands, of course, no team is cut off at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can survive. No one's relegated yet. And it's been ages since we saw this in Serie A. The next 2 games for Como, for example, are Monza and Venezia. And then they have Roma, Inter, and then they play Lecce.
Oh, Monza and Venezia, actually the 2 teams below them.
Yeah.
Those are...
Monza and Venezia, they need to
those are significant 6-pointers. Those are telling.
And we'll see. I have a feeling going into the new year, we might see a few new changes.
I 100% believe so. Because just like going all the way up to bloody... Well, to be honest, everyone can still get relegated. It's still very early on the season. But let's say going up until Parma... These teams, Parma, Verona, Lecce, Cagliari, Genoa, Como, Monza and Venezia.
It's 3 of them.
You know? It's definitely 3 of those teams.
Yeah. We'll see. I think Fabregas is probably the safest of the lot, considering his
considering this position, right?
Yeah.
And this association, how it was essentially him and the investment.
If anyone listening knows anything about this, please drop us some information. I'm sure our patrons will do their research and let us know in the.
We enjoy the football, so we're not incredibly well versed with this stuff. Basically, we want to sit here and talk to you about football.
But we'll do some research after.
But we'll do some research to keep you guys up to date. And if you guys know anything, please do educate
I highly
us.
doubt there's anything in the public domain about Fabregas' contract at Como, but we'll see what we can find.
Yeah, maybe one of you know him. Como are in 18th on 10 points. On the other hand, Fiorentina are one of the teams that are second in 4th place with 28 points.
So Patrick Vieira made his Serie A debut as a manager for Genoa, and it proved to be quite a dramatic one, actually. This was Genoa 2, Cagliari 2. Genoa started off in their 4-5-1 formation. So this is so Vieira came, he saw, and this is what he decided to go with. He had Leali in goal, Sabelli as the right back, Martin as the left back, with Maturo and Bani as the centre back duo. Interesting to see him opting against playing Vogliacco, who I think has been playing very well. He had Zanoli playing on the right with Miretti on the left, and a midfield 3 of Thorsby, Badel and Frendrup, and of course Pinamonti up front. For Cagliari, it was Serie in goal, with Augello, Luperto, Jeremina and Zappa at the back, Marin and Adopo as the midfield double pivot, with Luvumbo on the left, Zorteo on the right, and Gaetano on the hole behind Piccoli. Now the Sardinians took the lead through Razvan Marin's early penalty after VAR determined that Thorsby had handled the ball after it was headed directly into his upper arm. And this is one of those harsh calls, bro, where I literally head it from here, this close to you, and it hits your upper arm. I remember, I'll never forget the Bala winning a penalty against Deschilio from like just chipping the ball into his hand. He was so close and he was getting the penalty.
Had like a low center of gravity. His arm was pretty much touching the ground.
Yeah. And the cheeky bastard won a penalty like that. Genoa equalised through Frendrup in the 12th minute, taking advantage of a Cagliari error, and then Miretti put Genoa ahead in the 59th minute after being set up by Thorsby, who avenged himself, basically. Cagliari salvaged the point in the 88th minute when Piccoli converted a penalty against his former employers after being fouled in the box by Martin, another kind of soft penalty because he actually had his studs up on Martin.
Yeah.
And the decision went the other way around because he got the ball first, basically. Mm-hmm. So yes, I thought that Genoa looked dynamic, okay? They used an aggressive 4-3-3 system, bro. Zanoli and Miretti supported Penamonti in attack, okay? Their high pressing created a lot of early chances, but it left gaps that Cagliari, of course, exploited, similarly to the Milan game. Thorsby's versatility allowed Genoa to adapt to Cagliari's pressing. I thought their build-up play was very courageous, even under pressure, and they used the wide areas quite effectively. Was there much of a difference between what we saw this game and what we've seen with Gilardino? I mean, I doubt this guy is going to change everything drastically in one game.
That's it.
But it seemed very similar to me.
It seemed similar. I don't think we saw anything negative in the sense from Vieira's first game. I think his team was ahead for half an hour in the second half. And the only way they conceded in this game was from, like you said, 2 soft penalties awarded. Mm-hmm. Against that team that scored 3 from open play against Milan.
Yeah.
A team that is never down and out in Cagliari, who always find a way. And I think they put themselves in a good position where they fought back after conceding early to score 4 minutes after they concede, to score in the 60th minute through a well-worked goal, to be honest. I don't hate Vieira's substitutions. He brought on Vasquez and Vogliacco for Miretti and Zanoli. I don't think that was bad at all. But then another penalty, and I think Martin, of course, a harsh penalty, but you know, you have to put some blame on him in that sense. Quite clumsy from him, but I don't think this was terrible from Genoa. I think actually quite positive in that sense. Of course, the result isn't positive, right? Yeah. Because they want to establish themselves as a better team than Cagliari. How long are you going to use the same excuse of injuries? In this case, they had Messias available off the bench and he came in and made a cameo. Vitinha, same thing, available off the bench. I mean, they've got players like Zanoli, lit. Miretti, scuola Juve. He's on loan from Juventus. He's a very capable player. Frendrup is great. Badel is good. They can't keep on making excuses and this whole victimization of because we have injuries, that's what's ruining our season, so on and so forth.
However, though, it must be said that his decision to kind of bring in Messias, he brought on, so he brought on Messias in the 68th for Sabelli. Okay. And then he made in the 77th the substitutions he made with Vogliacco and Vasquez coming on, I think was way too defensive when you have a 1-goal lead. And if you look at the heat map, in fact, he just told Cagliari, come at us. Come at us. And that's always risky in a team, especially against a team that are so notorious for scoring late goals, man, in Cagliari. I don't know.
Milan made the same mistake, funnily enough.
Yes, they did. Milan made the exact same mistake, low block at the end, and they scored. I thought he paid them a bit too much respect over there in that aspect, and maybe if he kept more of an organic game. And then after the goal in the 88th minute, he brings in Vitinha and Balotelli. Like, utilize one of them. Why not? Why not bring Vitinha in earlier? You know, so you can still kind of get one on the counter. They're going to be pushing you. There's going to be space to attack, you know?
And I think that's a bit of a rookie error. You can call it a rookie error. You could call it old school management, rather. Nowadays, gone are them days where if you want to defend, you bring on defenders.
Yeah.
You bring on players that can run the clock, and you bring on players that systematically help your team in a defensive way. Classic example, I used to love Borja Mayoral, the way that he was utilized when Roma had an advantage. Because they used to bring him on, he used to run the ball up, waste time in the center of the pitch, just taking the piss out of his...
You remember how well he used to do that for Roma?
In Zola at Spezia, he was excellent at that as well.
Simeon Wanko at Salernitana.
Simeon Wanko, we're only mentioning cool ones. There are such other obvious ones that we can mention, but we're going for the hip ones.
Gaetano, man, as well had 2 opportunities where he could have scored. One of them was more difficult than the other, but the other one was a big miss. And they were finding quite a lot of luck behind the Genoa defense, Cagliari. We'll see, of course. This isn't a good enough case study to see how Vieira is going to do, but I didn't see a massive improvement, of course. The sacking still seems really bizarre to me, and I'm still bitter.
100%. And
I'm still bitter.
I kind of want them to get relegated.
Yeah. And then you see Balotelli arguing at the end, I wanted to come on earlier. Brought him
he
in
left
after
him
the
warming up
equaliser.
for ages.
My God.
He was warming up for an entire half, pretty much, Balotelli. But again, great stuff by Cagliari,
Yes.
A 3-3 draw to Milan, now a 2-2 draw. They from a team that was really struggling to score goals, it seems like something's clicked now. I know there were penalties, but Marin's got himself 3 goals now. Hopefully, Piccoli, after scoring against Milan, now scoring against Genoa, he has this new lease of life about him.
We'll see. I enjoy the way they play. I like that they've got Lovumbo full of energy on the left, who causes many problems by kind of twisting and turning. And then they've got Zortea on the other one, which is just a fearless 50-50 brawler of a football player. So they've got these different profiles as well that cause loads of problems for teams. And not to mention, of course, Luperto and Yeremina, who's a formidable centre-back partnership.
What was I going to say? Kill, marry. Zortea, Zanoli.
Kill, marry.
Yes. There's no fuck over here, bro.
Kill or marry, Zortea, Zanoli. I mean, I'm marrying Zortea. I love Zortea.
Okay, same. Okay.
Nice.
Why are you acting as though that was a super weird question?
But I'm wondering, do you want, like, am I picking one of them for my team, or am I actually marrying this person?
I mean, start bench, like.
Zortea. Yes. And I think I'd get along with Zortea as well as a partner.
To marry?
Yeah, to marry.
Nice. No, you made it weird. Shall I jump to the next one?
Yes, bro. So Genoa...
We technically have 10 minutes left.
Okay. Genoa are in 17th with 11 points, while Cagliari are in 16th also with 11 points. So it's a draw written all over it in theory.
Let's go Torino 1.
Is this your last one?
No. I have one more after this.
Okay. I've got one more.
Exactly. Torino 1, Monza 1. Torino lined up in a 3-5-2 formation. Vanya and goal, backline of Mazina, Coco and Valukovic. Lazar out on the left, Pedersen out on the right. Midfield trio of Ginetis, Ricci and Vlasic, with Shea Adams and Sanabria up front together. For Monza, a 3-4-2-1 formation. Turati in goal, backline of Itzomari and Carboni. Pereira out on the right, Kyriakopoulos out on the left, double pivot of Bonda and Bianco, with Mota and Maldini playing behind Juric. Both teams were in terrible form going into international duty, each of them coming off 3 consecutive defeats. Also, a few injuries for Monza, who missed Pessina, Sensi, Churia, Gagliardini and Cranio, all quite significant. Now, both sides had chances in the first half, but the deadline was broken in the 59th when Mazina scored with a header from a Valentin Lazaro cross. And then 4 minutes, Juric quickly responded for Monza, scoring with a header from a Kyriakopoulos corner to level the game at 1-1. In the 66th, Ginetis for Torino had a shot that was saved extremely well from close range by Turati. Valukovic follow-up, he sent the shot wide basically. And the 70th minute, Ricci and Ingi, or later on the game rather, Ricci and Ingi both tested Turati with some long-range attempts. But both teams at the moment, bro, Torino and Monza, I mean, they seemed like they were both scared of losing this game. We didn't see much urgency from both of the teams. Torino at the moment seemed like, similarly to Roma, there seems to be some drama between the ultras and the actual club. Their ultras actually sat in silence for the first 45 minutes as a protest. Not a word was uttered for Torino's ultras. And they also had 15,000 supporters gathered outside the Grande Torino Stadium calling for Cairo's departure.
And Cairo has actually addressed this. He said that he's not going to be in charge of Torino forever, and he's going to make sure that the next owner is richer than him.
Oh, you mean Red Bull?
Yeah, maybe.
RB Torino?
That could be cool, huh?
Nah, the Red Bull have been trying to get Torino for ages.
Really?
Yes, bro.
I think it would be interesting to see a Torino side that can actually challenge in the derby against Juve.
100%.
And that can actually make that push for Europe. I remember them playing in the Europa League not too long ago, Torino, in a playoff game for the Europa. Exactly, bro.
We were on the cruise and Belotti scored.
I think it was Mihailovic as the No, it was Mazzarri as the manager. Mazzarri really? Was the manager, bro. If you want to double check that, I believe it was though. When it comes to Torino, yes, I think they could do with maybe not even richer owners, more competent, to be honest. I think that when it comes to the scouting department, they've brought in a combination of players that sometimes look impressive, like the Ricci and Ilic signings were very good, man. But there have been players who have been let go and just not replaced adequately. And it's not like they're not making profit, you know? Bellotti was mismanaged because he had offers of 90 million for a player whose value clearly was not 90 million. You know, granted he had a good season, but you sell him for 90 million. Are you crazy? You know? You had Bremer sold for a fortune. You had Buongiorno sold for a fortune. The team has the potential to be better than it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even Bellanova, I'm pretty sure. Was he owned by them, Bellanova? He was owned by them.
Yes, they made money off him.
Exactly. So what's the excuse for having to field this team?
It was Mazzarri.
It was?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a beast.
The game was against, this was in the playoffs, Debreceni, and then there was Shakhtar Soligorsk.
All right.
But they were eliminated in the playoff round by Wolves. I think that's the game.
That's the one we saw.
We watched.
Yeah.
Interesting. But no, and I mean, I think they have read the best of the rest always and forever have been Torino, right? They are
not in the 60s.
Okay, but in recent history of the Cairo, bro. We talk about the Grande Torino, like under Cairo, that's what they've been. And they've had opportunities, like you said, to cash in on certain players, and they have cashed in on certain players, and the right investments weren't made. Of course, they're unlucky with the Duvan Zapata injury this season. They seem to have had quite a strong start at some times. But this decision to bring in Vanoli as well is also starting to be criticized as well by this fan base, where it's like, okay, it's good that they went for someone a bit more offensive, but did they just go for a guy that got Venezia promoted? Did he watch Venezia play? Because to me, they only scraped promotion. Cremonese were kind of better than them.
It wasn't a system that excites, you know. No. It was a hustler system for a good underdog side.
Exactly.
I think in Serie A at least. I don't know. I think that the ambitions aren't exactly there. And a slight correction on my end, the Grande Torino team was in the 40s, not in the 60s.
That's fine. So classic stuff by Torino, and then this is their fourth game in a row without a victory, and it's time we start seeing them do much better than that. Monza, on the other hand, also struggling, still in the relegation zone, only one win this season. Surely Nesta's job has to be in danger. Surely,
it's the same situation, bro. I think they're not cut off enough to actually justify a sacking. You know, it totally depends on their ambitions and their expectations and how they view the manager. I think Nesta has shown that he's, again, a manager with good ideas. And it might take a while to kind of implement these ideas and get them across to the players. The fact that it's so tight at the bottom, it can actually buy some of these managers more time. It depends on how the management view it. Are they going to view it right now as now is the time to make a change to cut ourselves off from these guys to like escape, or does this buy us more time to implement our manager who we believe in system even more? You know, so I guess it depends totally on how it's viewed, the situation. I want to check Monza's next matches. Como, Udinese, Lecce. You don't sack him now.
There are opportunities.
I think now is the chance for Nesta again. Similar, man. End of the year. We're going to see so many changes in December and in January. These are the games that Nesta has to show that, listen, I am an exciting manager. You can trust me.
Just to clarify, I'm not saying should he be sacked now. But his job has to be on the line.
Yes, I think when it comes to the guys at the bottom, their jobs are all under the microscope right now. You look at, for example, where the fuck are they? Here they are. So you look at Venezia, for sure. Di Francesco is being observed and being monitored, totally for sure. Nesta as well. Fabregas, God knows, because he's basically God walking amongst men. One of the investors. Literally. Genoa have actually sacked the manager, which is a weird option. You know what I mean? Gilardino and Nesta are in similar positions, in my opinion. Yeah. And Genoa sacked him. The only difference is Gilardino had a worse team, in my opinion, and was doing better with them. Cagliari as well. But again, Nicola isn't doing badly right now. They're in a good patch of form, I think, right now, with drawing against big teams.
Unlike Torino and Monza, who are under a spell right now, what are Monza's? No,
their recent results. So they have draw to Torino, lost to Lazio, lost to Milan, lost to Atalanta.
To be fair,
3 difficult games. Draw against Venezia, 2-2, dramatic. A victory against Verona. I think Zanetti, man, is the next one to get sacked.
It's true.
He's lost all these small games.
It's true. That's actually not too bad.
That's not too bad.
By Monza.
Draw to Roma. And they've drawn against big teams. That's the good thing. They've drawn to Inter. This is what we said in the last episode as well. So I think Nesta now has to prove himself against the small teams. I think if he loses 2 of the next 3 games, they might sack him for the last one. Or if he loses the next one, then maybe, I don't know. We'll see. It depends on the management, of course. But I think
because then it's also good. It's also good to bring in a manager when there's a set of easy games, so that they get some confidence going. Same as Roma had done with De Rossi when they got rid of Mourinho. Which is also another way to go about it. It's just interesting to see.
Yes.
But in hindsight, no.
And
they're in a dangerous spot, and it's. But maybe it's not time to panic.
Nesta, Galliani and the Berlusconi family have a good relationship as well because of their Milan affiliation. So we'll see. I'm sure they'll be a bit more fair with them.
That's why, much like Fabregas, at Como's even allowed to be sacked. Yeah. But
Shall we move on?
Over to you. Let me just say where they stand. Where did the tab go? Christ on a bike. Do you have it open? Okay, no, I found it. So Monza find themselves in 19th place on 9 points, just 1 point ahead of last place Venezia, while Torino find themselves in 11th on 15 points, just 1 point behind Empoli in 10th.
Yes, Empoli, speaking of, drew 1-1 to Udinese, and they continued their what we can call a positive run. It was a hard-fought draw. They lined up with Vasquez in goal in a 3-4-2-1 formation with Goglio, Cheesy, Ismaili and Viti at the back. Jazzy and Petzella were playing on the flanks with Henderson and Malek in the middle. Colombo and Cacace playing behind Pellegrini. This is an interesting one, seeing Cacace in a more advanced role, and he played quite well. Liberato. For
the Liberator.
For Udinese, it was a 3-5-2 formation with Okoye in goal. Suleiman Isaac Toure at the back alongside Bijol and Gianetti. Azibwe on the right, Kamara on the left, with Zarraga, Karlstrom and Lovric playing in the middle. Thovan and Davis starting up front together. Notice not a single Italian in this Udinese team. Because I think Gianetti represents Argentina, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But Luka on the bench.
Again, no?
Again, I'm telling you, this guy likes Davis. And Davis keeps scoring now. So, but Luka was scoring at the start of the season. Whatever. I much prefer Luka, you know how I am. So Pietro Pellegri's lovely first half goal from outside the box gave Empoli the lead after being set up by Cacace. But Udinese's Davis equalized from a Lovric corner in the second half, saving his team from a fourth consecutive defeat. The highlight of this game, or the most controversial part of this game, was Luka's penalty appeal for a handball by Cacace, which was absolutely clear and not given. Safe to say that Udinese will feel robbed after this one. It was a typical Empoli performance where they suffered a lot, got very few chances, and scored pretty much a half chance. They ended the game with 2 shots on target, one of them being a goal. And an XG of 0.13.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you mentioned the Blitzkrieg earlier. It's almost like playing against the Blitzkrieg when you play against Udinese. When you play against Udinese, you know you're gonna get clarted. You know it's gonna be physical. You know they're gonna have cracks. They're gonna test your goalkeeper, whatever goalkeeper you have. They're gonna get shots away. They're gonna test them. They're gonna try force an error. They will press you. They'll work as a team. And it wasn't easy for Empoli, who are a very, very different team, a much more technical team, a team that doesn't get many opportunities, a team that likes to work around their opponents. So it literally, stylistically, it's like having a Floyd Mayweather against a Khabib Nurmagomedov. So you have someone defensive who picks their punches, and then you have another one that just wants to maul you, pin you down to the ground, and have their way with you.
Absolutely. In fact, Udinese started in a 3-5-2 transitioning to a 4-3-3. They controlled possession totally, 68% in the first half, but they struggled to create meaningful chances. Why? Because Ismaili and Viti and the team as a unit defend so bloody well together.
Yes.
Ismaili is on Napoli's radar, and there's a reason for it.
He is.
He is having a fantastic season this year. He's developed lovelily as a player. And if you look at his age, he's 27, 28. He looks older than he really is.
I'm surprised, to be honed. Feels like he's been around a while.
Exactly. And then in the second half, yes, they transitioned. They completely moved on to a 4-3-3. Luka's introduction provided a new offensive dynamic and more danger on the set pieces, with 3 men who are absolutely ginormous in Davis, Luka, and of course Isaac Toure. And in fact they got the goal through a set piece. And their build-up play was a little bit faster, because in the first half their build-up play was a bit slow, and Empoli managed to limit their offensive threat. I think valuable point for Empoli. They show their resilience as always. They got a bit lucky with the fact that penalty wasn't given, but it was pretty much a standard display by Empoli, what we've grown accustomed to seeing.
They don't like losing, Empoli. They
don't.
lose few games. That's only 3 games that they've lost, all coming against very worthy opponents, naturally. In Napoli, they lost to Inter as well. And I forget who their other lost game against. Oh yeah, Lazio.
Yeah.
Their first loss of the season. So you see that they're a team that, much like the Empoli of around 4 seasons ago, or 3 seasons ago, the Empoli that 3 seasons ago that performed so well in the first half of the season that they could perhaps take their foot off the gas a little bit in the second half of the season. Not to say that is the plan that they're trying to carry out. I'm sure
in their situation right now, this isn't a must-win.
Exactly.
So that's true.
They would rather play it safe in a game like this. So if they manage to get the equalizer, and they're like, why are we going to risk piling men forward, trying to desperately get a point, when our goal should be... Actually, they opened the score. They opened the scoring in this game. Apologies, but in those situations, like, why are we going to risk anything where we could get a very valuable point over here? Because in a relegation battle, every single... How many times a team gets relegated, they look back at those games where they made the slightest of errors that lost them 1 point. Like, that's why we got relegated.
Exactly.
Empoli are working not to have those regrets.
Exactly, and they're really good at scoring half chances through Pellegrini lately. In the 14th minute, Colombo almost scored with a cross from way out, by the way. He went on a marauding run out wide, and he attempted a cross, and it actually seemed to beat the keeper and clip off the crossbar. So, crazy shit. I don't think I'm going to spend too much time on this game. Lecce, Madonna. Fucking hell. Empoli are currently, you see the table and you're like, wait, which ones were we just talking about? Empoli are in 10th with 16 points, while Udinese are in 9th with 17 points. So, yes, a point apiece, 9th and 10th place. Mid-table 6-pointer.
Speaking of Lecce, see, that's why you did for the transition.
For the transition, brother.
It was GIampaolo's derby away from home against Venezia. Derby, I said. GIampaolo's debut away to Venezia. Got the gondola for his debut. Vibes, huh? Vibes. Gondola to the stadium. I don't know why I just shared riding a horse.
What are you holding? What are you holding?
No, that's why I did, like a cowboy. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, bro.
I'm the one with the fever here, bro.
After 2 hours recording, you start going crazy, man. The only thing I can think of is football. Like, I can't imagine what's it like being on a gondola. So GIampaolo's debut in Venice.
In Rome.
In Rome. So Venezia, their 3-4-2-1 formation. Stankovic in goal. Backline of Sverkos, Voboda and Idzes. Ellertson out on the left, Zampan out on the right, a double pivot of Nicolucci, Caviglia and Duncan, with Bugia and Oristano playing behind GIampaolo. 4-3-3 formation for GIampaolo's men, Falcone and goal. Backline of Guilbert, Gaspar, Baschirotto and Gallo. Midfield three of Koulibaly, Ramadani and Raffia. Dorgo out on the right, Pierotti out on the left, Kristovic up front. A bit different to what we were initially expecting by GIampaolo.
No,
turns out he's a two-trick pony.
Yes, but Ramadani, I thought the way he operated in certain positions reminded me a bit of a trequartista. Let's see. Yes, well, not quite, but maybe when I was watching, I thought he operated a little bit centrally at times. But yeah, nice to see a bit of flexibility from GIampaolo. And I thought overall the quality of this game was, as we mentioned at the beginning, quite low. Yes. But that goal was a clear training ground routine that and some lovely energy from Gallo, man. Gallo started the game and he didn't stop running, man. And the goal came in the 70th minute. And he was charging like a fresh substitute, you know. Lovely bit of link-up play there.
It was a game where predominantly Venezia were controlling possession. They played a very possession-oriented game. They dominated the game on the ball. They controlled the tempo of the game, and Lecce did nothing but adapt in that sense. They had many an opportunity. GIampaolo missed a sitter.
GIampaolo is often late to the crosses that come his way.
That's in fact how he missed. He stuck his foot out a bit too late, and he missed an open goal at the end, pretty much.
And GIampaolo and Gitkier to me are quite similar profiles.
Similar in that sense. GIampaolo is more dangerous, of course. I thought that Oristano was very involved and he was very dangerous. His bit greedy at times. Could have fucking played in GIampaolo. At a point he went for a goal from a tight angle. GIampaolo was screaming at him and he had every reason to do so.
But he's 22 years old, and I think when it comes to his ability to dribble, it's very exciting,
Yeah. It's more their inability, much like Como, to score their chances. And I think they should explore. Of course, we're quite surprised when they marched into Serie A with a front line of Gitkier and GIampaolo. The only player they brought in was Oristano, who was with a relegated team last season.
And then they brought of course, Duncan, Caviglia. Of course, their midfield is nice. It's good.
Their midfield is quite nice.
It operates well, especially in these games against direct relegation contenders. They've got superiority. They've got better midfields than them. However, their striker situation is really bad, man. And this is one of the top scorers of Serie B year in, year out.
However, yes. Just to say, Falcone was incredible in this match. he was fucking...
It's 6 saves.
He was fucking incredible, bro.
Yeah.
He's in the team of the week for sure.
Yeah.
And another just a testament of a goalkeeper that is... He should not be with a team that's battling relegation, Falcone, because season after season, he shows us how good he is. Back from his Sampdoria days when he benched Laudero, he was showing us how good he is. What will it take for a bigger team to snap this guy up? Because he deserves to be at least somewhere near the mid-table. He's not getting any younger. I mean, he's a goalkeeper, so 29 is relatively young. But let's not act as though he's in his early 20s or something.
Yes.
He needs to start considering looking elsewhere, right?
I think he's one of those...
The XG, sorry, bro. Venezia's XG was 2.73. 2.73. The difference was Falcone. That's what having a great goalkeeper does for you.
That's true. And that's it, right? I mean, he's one of those goalkeepers, one of the happy to be here's.
Yeah.
You know, Montepoz's one of them as well, where I think that the teams above them have goalkeepers who are quite settled.
Mm-hmm.
Like Vanja Milinkovic-Savic isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Okoye is one for the future for Udinese. Bologna have Skorupski and Ravaglia, who are very exciting. Mm-hmm. So the problem is your team goes down, you're going down with them, and you're probably not going up. And if you're going up, if you're bought by one of these teams, you're probably going to be a reserve, and you have to start from the beginning to win your spot.
Or you go for a newly
or you go for a newly
promoted
or
team.
a newly promoted team, exactly.
Because newly promoted teams love doing that shit.
It's true.
Let's say Sassuolo go up and they snap him up. It would be a great move for Sassuolo.
Yes.
One thing I want to mention, just to give more credit to GIampaolo, because of course his team got mauled by Venezia, but they got the 3 points, which is excellent. Now, of course, goalkeeping heroic, so on and so forth. One thing he did do that is maybe going under the radar is his switch of formation. Going into the second half, where he switched to a 3-4-3, where he brought on Rebic to replace Kristovic, because Kristovic was ass.
Yes.
Complete ass. And Gallo
Rebic was ass as well.
Yes.
Bullshit, bro. He was so bad. I couldn't believe how bad he was.
That's brilliant, man. Kristovic and Rebic. But this really allowed this changed the game, because it allowed Gallo to go further up.
Yeah.
And it allowed them to have this wide area where they can counter. So they spread Venezia a little bit more thin. They said, Venezia play with the attacking wing backs. Let's try break through from there. And a swift counter attack spearheaded from Gallo changed the game for them. It was his run down the left and his precise delivery to Dorgu, who finished calmly with his weaker right foot. So you could say either happy coincidence for him, but a manager has these things in mind, these situations in mind when he makes his alterations, and a very well-made alteration by GIampaolo.
It looked like a very well-rehearsed sequence, to be honest, and it looked compact at the back, very nice. Mm-hmm. Yes, brother, I think we should end it there, because we had some technical issues last time with the long episode.
Very true, and I don't think there's anything to bring up anyway, anything else to bring up. We're going to end it here, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in to this episode. We'll see you next week, and enjoy this weekend of Serie.
Thank you, bros. Ciao.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
The football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, the cake.
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.